What is up, everybody? Welcome to Dead Air, episode 4. CP.
Hi.
It is a new generation.
It is.
It is a new generation, and it doesn't feel like it should be, but it is. What is going on, everybody? We got Nathan Oswald, Shake and Bake, Dale Strunk, the usual suspects. Hope everybody's doing good this Friday afternoon.
The 13th.
Friday the 13th, yes. Before we even get into it, be sure to check out CP later on. He's doing a long telethon / marathon.
Maybe. It depends on where the money goes.
He's going to be watching anywhere from 1 to 12 Friday the 13th films on his channel. I might stop in for one. Just depends on what I got going on tonight because as of half an hour ago, goddamn. As of half an hour ago, I became an uncle.
Oh, congrats.
Yep. So I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not. But
born on Friday the 13th.
Pretty awesome.
I'm
as soon as I woke up to the text this morning from my sister, she's like, the baby's coming. And my first response, I said, good luck, love you. And then my second response was, born on Friday the 13th, destined to be a horror fanatic like his uncle. So, I don't know if it's going to show up or not, but there is Larry.
Oh,
Larry Jr.
Larry Voorhees III.
Yes. So, congrats. I doubt my sister's watching this. If you're watching this, Skylar, you should be doing other things.
Yeah,
but
she should be
congratulations.
Asleep, high, both, or not watching.
Exactly. Yes. So that's going on. Unfortunately, with the way that the world is, family's not allowed to visit in the hospital. So we got to wait for the couple days to run through and then see them at home. But yeah, that was the major thing coming in today that I was like, oh, today's the day. Oh shit. Okay.
Are they taking precautions with the kid too? Like, do they have like where they put the babies in someplace?
I'm honestly not sure. I'm sure they have to do something.
That's kind of scary too. Jeez.
Yeah. So I think it's literally just Skylar, Larry, the father, and then the baby. I think is all that's allowed to be there until the end. For all of her appointments leading up to it, she could only go in by herself, which really sucked. So it's a new world. Hopefully that goes away. But along with being a new world and having new babies running around, we got some other new babies called the PlayStation 5. And the Xbox, Series X version 2.0
One S X series.
Oh man, yeah, we're already coloring where our allegiances are going to go in this stream. So we wanted to get together, guys, and talk about the previous generation. Talk about maybe some stories on pre-orders and launches and our experiences with that, and give 5 each of our favorite games from the past generation. And we actually had some overlap. So I think 3 out of his top 5 were actually in my top 5. So you're getting my top, 3 through 7 or something like that.
Yeah. I have much more than 5, but it's a smattering of things. If
Lindsay, you missed what we already said. There will be Friday the 13th discussion later.
Yeah. Yeah. Later.
Oh man. So, PlayStation 5. I got one. I've been playing it. Let's see. Last night I got home. First of all, before I even get into the console, you want to talk about the biggest pain in the ass it was to try to get home yesterday. And it was like everything but a fucking plane falling out of the sky kept me from coming home. So it was a long ass day. It was, we were mid, buying a house whenever I had pre-ordered this system. So I wasn't sure whether I should, what address to put, if I should put it on the rental house that we're hopefully going to be moving out of, if I should put it in the house that we're putting an offer in that hopefully we would get. And I was afraid that I was going to end up doing something and either the house would fall through or something. So we sent it to my mother-in-law's house, who lives in Savannah. It's been absolute garbage weather here all week. It looks like Seattle. It's just been raining and raining and raining.
Yeah, we've had that too up here. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the tail winds of a fucking hurricane or something. So it's shitty weather. I had to get off of work, sit through traffic all the way into Savannah to go get this thing at my mother-in-law's house, and then sit through worse traffic all the way home, finally get off of traffic onto the side roads that take me to my house. Turns out there was an accident or something, so the side road that I take, Highway 30, was closed completely, so I had to reroute myself and go all the way around my ass to get to my elbow to get to my house. Then I film an unboxing because I love all of you guys, and I'm like, I'm going to share this moment with my subscribers instead of just tearing it open and being dead to the world for the next 12 hours. And the little preview window on my camera looked fine, so I went ahead, I filmed it all on the floor right over there where the box is, unboxed the whole thing, got the PS5 set up. It's like, hey, do you want to transfer all of your data, your saves, your trophies from the PS4? And I was like, yes, of course I do. And it's like, awesome. You now have to wait for fucking
See
ever.
you in January.
So it was like 1%. And then you'd sit there and stare at it for like 90 seconds and it would go 2%. And I was like, oh, went to go edit the video. The video looked like trash, so I decided not to put it up. It looked like I filmed it on a fucking razor. So something about the lighting just grained the shit out of it, even though it didn't look bad at all in the preview window. And then finally, after I'd say about 8:30, I was able to finally start a game. But yes, I've been playing. Last night I played Demon Souls for maybe half an hour or so. Very difficult game, so I wanted to play something else for a bit. I popped in the Spider-Man Remastered, played that for a little while. I played the Astro's Playroom, which is basically just a tech demo for the new controller. It's like a bundled in little game where you're playing a little robot. It's like a little platformer. And played some this morning. I actually streamed on Twitch. If you guys are Twitch fans, I created a channel this morning. I put it on a community post. It's got a direct link, but if you search my username, it's Cody Leach, YT, in capitals for YouTube. Did one little stream of Spider-Man Miles Morales for about an hour. That is pretty badass because it literally just a little camera that sits on my TV, but I literally just clicked the little create button, went over to broadcast. I had to link up my Twitch, obviously, but if I didn't have to do that, I just select Twitch, named what the stream was going to be, and then hit go. And then it asked me where I want to put my camera. If I wanted here, I stuck it in the corner, and then all of a sudden chat started coming up and it was like, hey, Cody. And I'm like, holy shit, people are watching me.
Yeah, it looked smooth too. Like it was hard to decipher what was cutscenes and what was the game. It looked crisp.
Yeah, that's the main thing, because graphically, at least so far, this is the smallest leap that we've had.
Yeah.
Every generation's like, holy shit, you know what I mean? This generation's like, okay, it looks a little better. But this one is more performance. It's more
frame rate,
load time.
No
frame rate. Yeah, and exactly like you said, it goes from gameplay to cutscene to gameplay to like seamless. And then the big thing really is just the controller. The controller, it's hard to describe unless you actually get to play with it, but the rumble function is a whole different animal now, to where like we're like, yeah, something if something's blowing up over here, you feel it like rattle on this side of the controller.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's
so it's
cool.
like it's like all immersive like that. And then they have what they call haptic feedback, which is the back triggers R1 or R2 and L2. Instead of just being straight buttons, they have like response now. They have like resistance. So like if you're drawing a bow and the resistance gets tighter, it's harder to push it down. Or like with Spider-Man, when you're web swinging, you push it halfway down, and then when the web breaks, it like releases, and it's pretty badass. Yeah. So that controller and the speed is what you're gonna hear from a lot of people. And whenever I do my like first impressions, that's the big thing so far. But yeah, we have that. I don't know when I'm going to get an Xbox Series X. It might be a year from now. It's going to take until they have a game that I'm like, oh, I must play that. I mean, none of the games for PS5 launch were like must-have games. I'm just a PlayStation whore, so I wanted to get it. This is my first launch game. I've never bought a system on launch.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite. This is the first time I haven't bought a launch game in about 20 years.
Wow.
A launch system.
Yeah. See, for the longest time, it was, whatever my parents bought, so there was no convincing them, like, I must have it on day one. They're like, yeah, fuck you. You'll get it for Christmas next year. So I've never had it. And then PS3, I think, was the first game that I bought with my own money. PS4 was the first system that I bought that I didn't get at launch. I was in between jobs within that last couple months of that year. I think it launched in November, right? Do they typically launch in November? Is that like the time that it comes out?
About 2 months before Christmas, give or take. September is a big month. I remember.
Yeah.
September, when I got the Dreamcast, it was $99.99. That was fall season. Enough time to give you time to go Christmas shopping for that shit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dakota. Thank you so much. But yeah, so PS4, I think I got that in February, so just a couple months after. It felt close to launch. I was like, hey, I get to play this, and there's not even like a major game out yet. But this is the first one. This is the first one that I bought, pre-ordered, and got on day one. And that was an experience. We talked about it a little bit on our first episode of Dead Air, but yeah, that was, I don't know if it's always that manic, but it was definitely crazy trying to, click refresh like a fucking hacker trying to get a PlayStation.
It is weird. It is weird. So I've been through a couple. I got Sega Saturn on day one. I didn't buy PlayStation 1 on day one. I did get it eventually, like a couple months after I got a Saturn. I got Saturn day one. Nobody cared about it. It was easy to go get it. The Panasonic 3DO I got on day one.
Is that?
It was a giant failure. It was expensive and it failed. It was a glorified CD player.
Oh wow!
It was supposed to be. So you had I think I mixed up the timing. You had Genesis, Nintendo, and then I think 3DO was like, "Hey, we got discs," and everybody's like, "So." I'm gonna go play Donkey Kong Country if you don't mind.
I remember that. I remember Sega Saturn had discs and it was weird. It was like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah. Saturn was kind of shit. PlayStation was the first time I was like, oh wait a minute, this is all right. The sports games were good. Resident Evil, when that first came out, that was the first time I was like, oh, I think I might be playing video games as an adult. This is no joke. Like this ain't Nintendo we're playing here. And we progressed. I got Dreamcast day one. I haven't been a Nintendo guy all century.
Yeah. Nintendo Switch was the first game. I lied, actually. You know what? This is the second console that I bought on launch day, because Nintendo Switch I had the first day just by accident.
Kids.
Yeah, by accident. That one was pretty easy to get. But yeah, Nintendo Switch is the first console that I genuinely had interest in since Game Boy.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. My cousin, I got some shit in my throat. I don't know what the hell it is. My cousin had a Nintendo. I grew up with the Sega. I had the Sega Genesis. That was my shit growing up. He had the Nintendo. He had the Super Nintendo. He got the Nintendo 64 first, which infuriated me at the time. Yeah. And then I got one eventually. I loved the 64. Everybody did. And then somewhere between 64 and Wii, I just kind of lost interest with Nintendo. Nintendo seemed to always go for, after Nintendo 64, let's just go innovation. Let's do something weird with our consoles, while PS4 or while PlayStation and Xbox were like, let's get better graphics. Let's make bigger games. Let's make huge AAA titles. Nintendo was like, nah, fuck you. We're going to do motion controls. We're going to do the little screen thing that was the Wii U that bombed. And then eventually was switched to like, okay, you can go immediately from mobile to console and it's HD. And I was like,
yeah, I mean, that's a good feature, but Nintendo notoriously, or at least as far as when I was going back with 64, on launch day, Nintendo 64 had 2 titles. It was Mario and Pilot Wings. Yep. And you just bought Pilot Wings because it was like, what the fuck else am I gonna play? Yeah,
it was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for Switch. It was like, well, this or Snippy Clips.
They are so tight with their game releases. It's like, can you make just make some shitty games so we have something else to play, for fuck's sake? Yeah. It's so strange. Launch, I mean, I can't think of a launch where they've had a game where it's like, oh yeah, this is something I'm going to be playing 3 years from now.
I think the last one that ended up being a gigantic thing was Halo for the first Xbox, which was a launch title. But that wasn't a known name, but that was the one that when people got it, they were like, this shit here.
Yeah.
Joshua Nelson, we're actually going to get into that. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll get into our favorite games. And then Rogelio, you always love to stream during class. How's the next gen, guys? I just described the PS5 for a few minutes, just a couple minutes ago. Get my initial thoughts there, but I will be doing a first impressions video probably Sunday. But you were saying launch titles.
Yeah, they're for the most part. I mean, you kind of defeated my argument, but they usually are pretty kind of soft. They're kind of weak. This is going back. You're right. Xbox. I certainly did pick up Halo on launch. Dreamcast. I'm trying to think. What the fuck did I buy in Dreamcast when that came out? There was something. Was it Wipeout? Wipeout might have been a system before. There's just
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, it might have been Crazy Taxi. Dreamcast was weird, but it was just like the sports games were good. I think I was all about that. PlayStation 2, Call of Duty 2, I think was one of the bigger ones.
Metal Gear Solid 2, was that a launch title?
Was that a launch title?
I don't know.
I know people were going
crazy. Look it up.
People going crazy about that game, Dynamic Dynasty Warriors. That was kind of a big deal. That was the launch title. Not my cup of tea, but people were really into that. Where else are we going? Xbox was Halo.
PlayStation 1 launch titles were Air Combat, Battle Arena, ESPN Extreme, NBA Jam, Zero Divide, Street Fighter the movie, Rayman, Ridge Racer, Total Eclipse Turbo. I don't know any of those fucking games.
Ridge Racer was okay. Twisted Metal, I would have assumed was a launch title, but not even that. Like it is, they're just okay games. 90%.
Metal Gear Solid was not for PS2. Madden NFL, Ridge Racer 5, Silent Scope, Tekken Tag, Time Splitters, Armored Core 2. It's a very generic brand stuff.
Yeah.
And then PS3, I thought Grand Theft Auto was I thought Grand Theft Auto 4 was a launch title. Am I remembering that wrong?
No. They made a big deal of that. See, I bought the Xbox 360 first because again, Blu-rays are more important than anything. And this was back when it was HD DVD, Blu-ray. Who's going to win? Yeah. And Xbox was like, hey, we got this HD DVD player. And I stupidly thought, well, people are morons. They're going to think HD DVD. So that they're going to know in the title that it's a high def DVD. So I jumped on board with the Xbox and then Blu-ray won. And then I
always had confidence in Blu-ray just because I thought it was a cool name. I was like, I want that one to win, and then it won.
I was just nervous because Sony fucked up before with Beta.
Don't they have a whole conversation about that in Tropic Thunder, where he's like, it really came down to the PlayStation and porn, because whenever one porn backs, he's like,
you talking to me the whole time?
I was talking to whoever was listening.
And then what was it? Uncharted came out. And I was like, yo, what's this Indiana Jones game? I don't care. And then once that came out, I bought the PS3 and was fully on board. And then I was launch day on everything else. It really didn't matter. I was just launch day.
Yeah. This was the first for me. With the Nintendo was kind of an accident. I worked in construction. We had to be there at 7. You had to get to the job site, it's some reasonable time, and then spend however much time you need to get the job done. So very loosey-goosey with, your work schedule. So I showed up at 7. We had to go all the way down to downtown Savannah, and I realized we were going to be passing the Target that's closer to downtown. I was like, I'll meet you guys at the job site. I just wanted to just see something, just for the fuck of it. And I pulled up, and I walked up, and there was like maybe 7 people in front of the store. And I walked up, and as soon as I walked up, the manager comes out. He's like, I'm assuming everybody's here for the Switch. And they're all like, And he goes, yeah, we've got about 15 of them here. So you guys are all going to get one. Just go all the way to the back and get whatever games. But we have the consoles up at the front. So just go to the front, get your console, and take it to the back. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm getting a Switch today. Fuck it. So,
I wanted lunch, but I guess I'll get a Switch.
yeah, I came here for some shampoo, but I guess I'll. So it was a total like whatever, you know. Sure, a Nintendo, but yeah, this one, man, you damn near had to be a hacker to get one.
Yeah. Girlfriend's like, "Did you get the toilet paper?" Shit, no.
Me and my dad were infamous for doing that when I was growing up. My grandma or my stepmom would need something. They'd be like, hey, we need this for dinner. Go to the Walmart real quick. We're cooking. All right, and we go there. We came back. Hey, we got Rescue Me season 3. Did you get the thing? Oh fuck. I'm gonna wait to get PS5 for a few months. In the meantime, I'm gonna finish Dexter, currently on season 4.
Dexter.
Enjoy season 4.
Oh, the TV show.
Yeah, and then you're on for a rocky ride after season 4.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Absolutely.
So yeah, this console generation, though, the one that just passed, PS4 and Xbox One, this was an interesting one because the whole lead up to it was weird, because Xbox was being very just putting their foot forward and was just like, you know what, fuck GameStop, we're not.
Keep talking.
They're like, fuck GameStop, we're not dealing with this anymore, with this back and forth with, you know, being able to trade in your game. So they were trying to make it to where you had to like install the game if you wanted to trade it in and buy it used or whatever. You had to get like an activation code that you would buy from Xbox. So no matter what, they were gonna kill that industry, and they were gonna make you rebuy games. And then PS4 came out and dropped a bomb, because they were like, here's how they had the whole like detailed video on the Xbox panel where they're like, this is how you share a game on Xbox. And it was like, you know, you go here to the website and you pay for your redemption code, and then you share it to this person, and then PS4 is like, here's how you share a game on the PlayStation. And he's like, here you go. Just give it to the guy. And then they dropped their price. They dropped that they're going to be able to share games. And then Xbox One had to go back and redo their entire thing. They had to revisit the price. They had to get rid of that whole sharing game thing. And that pretty much fucked them from the beginning, because everybody got excited for PlayStation. They were like, okay, fuck that, I'm buying this. And I think PlayStation 4 might have ended up being like the second or third most successful video game console of all time. It destroyed Xbox One regardless. Now the weird thing for me, like I'm a part of the camp.
I just want you to see that
day one.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Day 1, 2013. I'm a whore for like collectibles, and when they made the system with the little day one thing, I was like, oh, I'll get that.
Boner.
Mine.
Yeah. I'm somebody that belongs to the camp that you can enjoy both. Like I'm the same way. I'm the same way with Marvel and DC and everything else. Like I will own a PlayStation. I will own an Xbox. I will play both. I will enjoy both. I will have criticisms of both. Fuck you if you think you have to pick, you know, one or the other.
Why?
So with that being said, Xbox all but lost me this generation. I waited for quite a while to get the Xbox One. I ended up getting the Xbox One S. And that thing basically became a 4K Blu-ray player within a couple of months. I bought a bunch of I bought the Halo, the collection. I bought, there was some game, I can't remember. There's like, you're a chick that you can go around, you can dig things out of the ground. I don't remember what the hell it was called, but I got that. I got Gears 4. That was the big reason why I bought it, is because Gears 4 was coming out, and I loved Gears 3. And I was a pretty big fan of Gears 1 and 2. That was the one like Xbox franchise that I was like, okay, I'll buy a system for that. Gears 4, I was okay on it. And then after I got done with Gears 4, I literally did not play my Xbox One at all until Gears 5 came out, which was like 2-something years. And the thing that always annoyed the shit out of me about the Xbox One S, because they were trying to make it like this, this entertainment hub, where you can like control your TV and everything. And
they had an input for your cable too. It's just like, dude, one at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that always pissed me off, and for the life of me, I went online, I Googled it, I did everything I could on my TV, I did everything I could on the Xbox One. I could not get that fucker set to where if I turned my TV on, my Xbox One would come on automatically, regardless if I was playing it or not.
And
if I turned my Xbox One off, the TV would go off.
Right.
So I had to do like this fucking combination lock bullshit every single time I turned my TV on so that my Xbox didn't turn on. And if I did turn my Xbox on, like say I went to go turn the Xbox on to put a movie in and then I turned the power onto my TV, the power function would then shut off the Xbox. It was the most annoying shit ever. And it was just like, this fucking thing is retarded. And I never had that problem with PlayStation. The big thing, though, I will say that even though I love both, I've always leaned PlayStation because I love their exclusives. You mentioned Uncharted. Uncharted became like one of the huge ones. Last of Us became a huge one. You've got you got God of War, which we'll talk about. Was never a big one for me, but has become one. You get games like. Even though it was very underplayed, I thought it was pretty awesome. Days Gone, where it was like the motorcycle player or the rider, and you've got the zombie outbreak. That was a really good game. It just took a while to get to the meat of it, and I think people didn't have the patience for it. Horizon Zero Dawn was another one that just started out. It's like all these games that PlayStation would come out as exclusives. It was always like, holy shit, this is incredible. To where Xbox always kind of feels like they're just sticking with Forza, Halo, and Gears, and that's all we need. They kind of do the Nintendo thing where they're like, we got Mario, we're good.
I actually did a little bit of homework, and I'm remembering now what Xbox One out of the gate looked prettier than PS. What are we on? 4. Because they had that Dead Rising game. You got to remember that this is right in the middle of Walking Dead being a great big deal, and it for say what you want about it, it's this game where you're running around and killing zombies. Neat idea. You can craft your own fucking weapons, but after about 20 minutes, it's the same shit. Looks cool.
That game pissed me the fuck off because I thought it looked awesome, but it's one of those weird games that decides to do some really old school shit with the difficulty where you literally have to go find a save point.
Yeah.
And you will go hours and not realize it because you're so used to autosave at this point. Like mentally, you just don't think about it. You'll get hours of progress and then fucking die and then go all the way back to where you were yesterday. And you're like, fuck!
What is this, 1988?
Yeah. So the first one tried my patience a lot. I like the second one a little bit better. And maybe it's because I kind of expected the way that it was going to be. 4 was the only one that I played all the way through. And I think 4 had the auto save, or at least you could just press the start button and save it. There was no like, go find a bathroom bullshit.
Yeah.
So that was Xbox 360. That was a big one that was like, hey, we got all these zombies on screen at once.
Yeah. The other one that like I was super fired up about and really disappointed me. Again, really badass looking, really neat graphics, but it got really repetitive. Was Rise, Son of Rome. It was like this, I don't know, this old school game where you were in like ancient Rome and you just ran around fighting. I don't know how else to put it, but it looked gorgeous. It looked gorgeous, but it was just the same shit, just a little bit different every time. Run up to that guy, beat the shit out of him, take his armor. Run up to that guy. It looked incredible. It was just so empty. They had a lot as far as, you know, the back of a box is concerned. Back in my day, when you bought a system, they had on the back of the box. It wasn't, you know, like bullshit marketing bullshit. They had pictures of the games that were available.
Titles.
Games that you could buy on the system, and all those games that came out with the Xbox One were great pictures. They were great pictures for the back of a box. They don't do that anymore, but I forgot what it was. I think it was the Super Nintendo where they had a picture of a game that never came out, and I was like, whatever happened to this? I want this game. And fucking video games. I'll grow up someday.
Never. So PS4. Well, I mean, we'll talk about both PS4 and Xbox One.
Yeah.
We both, without even discussing it, we talked about our top 5 games from this past generation, and all of them are PlayStation games or games you can get on both.
Right.
So we have, let's see, we'll get into our top. Oh, Dakota. Let me see.
Yeah, so let me read what was available on PS4. That was also, these are dual releases for launch day on PS4 and Xbox One. Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Ghosts, FIFA, Just Dance. You know, you need to have that on every system.
Woo!
Lego Marvel, Madden, NBA, 2K, NBA Live, Need for Speed. A Warframe was not. Warframe. Wait, what? That's not right. That's not right. What? Warframe is. Oh, it was a split system. Okay, I'm wrong. And those were the games that were split. As far as exclusive, Daylight was day one.
What the hell is Daylight?
A psychological thriller.
Don't know that one.
Yeah. It's a first-person kind of thriller game. Minecraft was listed, but that was on everything too. All right, so this list is a little broken. Thank you, IGN, for ruining my time and making me look stupid. I don't need their help.
They got requests for us to arm wrestle. Some people say you, some people say me. Mother Mayhem says CP would break something and end up in the hospital.
Yep, that is accurate.
Dakota Welsh with $10. Have you guys played any of the horror releases on the current gen, like the Outlast series? Those two games are almost masterpieces, in my opinion, from a story perspective. CP, go ahead and talk about Outlast, because that was in like your top 6, top 7, wasn't it?
Yeah. Outlast is yeah. I didn't rank 1 through 5, but Outlast is in my discussion. That game is awesome, and you can tell they didn't spend too much on it. And they kept themselves within the restriction. You can be scary. You can set up a thriller game without having to do too much. As far as, I mean, there's jump scares in it, but
oh yeah,
it's dark as shit.
You have no weapons.
Yeah, you have a fucking camera that you need to make sure the battery stays charged. So you know,
sitting in a fucking locker like. I don't hope he doesn't see me, but I'm going to film it in case he does.
Yeah, I need proof for my friends. But you know, there wasn't much to it, but it was incredible. Like, you didn't need weapons, you didn't need this big extravagant thing. It was reserved. You know, you were contained to this. It was a mental facility, right? I want to say it was like a mental hospital, or it was something like that. And it's all closed off, and it's dark, and you're a reporter. Somehow they're expecting you. You have a camera, and you're running around. Some places are lit, some places aren't. Some of the inmates are locked up. Some of them aren't. And it's just scary. If you want to talk about tone, mood, atmosphere, all of that shit, that game nails it. And I think it was $20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Yeah,
that was a good one. That was one that I played a little bit at first, thought it was cool, got dropped off of it.
Yeah,
like a year or so went by. I went back and revisited it and played through the whole thing. I didn't play Outlast 2. Did you play the second one?
No, as a matter of fact, I was just going to say, Emily, we downloaded it because it was free for PS Plus like half a year ago, and we downloaded it. Emily likes watching games, so that there's that. She's like, "Oh, can you download that and play it?" Yeah, dude, I don't know.
There's two types of people in this world, and I think it's a generational thing, because my brother, my son, they all love this Twitch thing. Let's just watch somebody play video games. That's like a corkscrew in my ass. Like I grew up with a generation where I'm like, is it fucking my turn yet?
Yeah. Give me the fucking controller. You're doing it wrong.
I had a babysitter that we used to play Grand Theft Auto, and this was back when Grand Theft Auto 3 was like the shit. She would stop at the red lights, and I was just like, Joel, hit him. There's no repercussions, I promise.
Grand Theft Auto. not avoid tickets.
Oh my god, it was torture.
Yeah.
And then I'd play, I'd hand off the controller with my best friend at the time, and I would always try to be the biggest badass, try to get the 5 stars, and try to survive the longest, make the most carnage. And he would like just run around and do stuff, and I'm like, your turn is taking 4 hours.
Yeah.
Shoot somebody.
I think the generational like divide is very different too, because I don't know about you, but when I grew up, like, you know, if I had friends, we would all hang out and play video games in somebody's house.
Yeah.
And there was stuff like that, especially back in the day when you couldn't save, like your goal for the night. Fuck, Resident Evil. I remember the first night I brought Resident Evil home. That was when I bought the PS. I bought the PlayStation 1 and Resident Evil and a fucking memory card. And you couldn't just save Resident Evil. You had to go find a fucking an ink a ink ribbon and make sure you had that, and go find a typewriter, and then you could save. Me and a buddy played that, and I think we sat down passing back and forth between, you know, one person would go. If you died, you traded the controller off. The other guy tried. And it was like a team effort. And no matter who it was that was playing, when that dog jumped through the fucking window in that hallway on the first floor, we both jumped and said, this is the best game ever.
You know what's funny too is trying to get parents to understand the old, even kids nowadays that are used to this, like, you know, hard drive bullshit, trying to get people to understand the level of peril you would be in if you could not save a game. Like old school games, that was how they were designed. If you died, fuck you, go back to level 1. But like you get to like I remember like it was yesterday, it was Nintendo 64 and it was Toy Story 2. And I took it to my cousin's house, and just like you said, that was the goal for the night. It was like, we're staying up, we're playing this motherfucker, we're getting to the end. We were trading off. Dude, we got to the final boss. We got all the way to the end of the game, and we're in the airport, and we're fighting that fucking prospector guy. And my aunt comes in and says, it's too late, go to bed. And we're like, no, you don't understand. I don't care. Go to bed. We're like,
we'll turn the volume down.
5 minutes. Yeah. We're debating on like leaving the system on, just turning the TV on.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that. I've done that where for some stupid reason, before I went to school, I'd fuck around and then just turn the TV off and leave the PlayStation on or whatever all day, because that's smart. That's not a fire.
Yeah. Once you have a power bill, you're like, no, dick. What the fuck is this? 180? I don't know. Somebody turned the lights off. Dude, I still have memories of that when I'm like, God, you do not understand how bad you fucked us that night. Like we were there. Yeah. And I don't think I ever played the game again after that. I was like, fuck this. I'm never doing it again.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think today's generation does it like that. I think it's more about that shared experience through somebody else's
and streaming.
Yeah.
It's what it is. There's no couch co-op anymore.
Right. It's kind of sad.
It is
a bit. I don't know.
You have a younger brother or something, and you trade off, or you'd play, split screen, and you go through the whole game together, like kind of like how Gears. I think Gears is like the last game that is kind of keeping that tradition alive a little bit. But yeah, couple super chats real quick. CBMF Productions, Uncharted 4 takes the cake for me as best game of the 8th generation. Great swan song for Nathan Drake. Also, have you guys played Until Dawn? Uncharted 4, absolutely. I think that was in my top 3. So I loved it. I'm right there with you. Until Dawn, I did play. I wasn't as high on it as everybody else. That was the one where it was like a horror film, and you had to play the different characters and make the decisions. And they had like Hayden Panettiere on there.
And it altered. If you made a choice, you couldn't fix it, right?
Yeah, like Rami Malek was in there before he was, before anybody really knew who he was. And that's what frustrated me about it. That was interesting about it, but I would get so pissed when I would accidentally do something and I couldn't go back and like change that decision. Like if I just, I hated that. Like I would fuck something up and 3 people would die. And I'm like, no, like, okay, I'll try that on another playthrough. Let me go back. Let me go back and go the left hole. Like even the finale of the game, there's a segment where you have to be really quiet. And if you fuck up and make a noise as a character, that dude's just dead. And so like the ending that I got was just absolute shit.
Mhm.
and the game was really frustrating to play through. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to play through it again to try to do it better this time. So that really aggravated me about that game, was that there was no like redo button if I wanted to go back. There was no like reload last checkpoint.
Yeah, I've never played that game.
Yeah.
You brought it up. That's another thing that well, I'll say our generation is the first ones to experience different endings to video games. You kids today are spoiled with your 6, 7 different endings. But I remember Resident Evil, a perfect point where you could have the bad ending where it's just fucking everybody's dead and Chris is in the helicopter like, guess I'm going home. Or you know, so some people live, some people make it out. It was really neat. It was a really unique touch where you could have a different ending depending on how well you played, or if you just wanted to cut corners. Yeah.
Yep. I remember the big one for me was Metal Gear Solid. The first Metal Gear Solid had the torture sequence where if you could withstand it, Meryl would live at the end, but if you submitted or if you failed, she would die, and you and Otacon would get out. Mm-hmm. And there was a button that said submit. And it was funny because I was so young at the time. That game like blew my mind. That was like the next like what the fuck is this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm used to like Sonic the Hedgehog. And so whenever I got to that point, I could never press the button fast enough to stay alive. I didn't have the muscle memory or something. And so I would always fucking die. And then one time I accidentally hit the select button, which was submit, and he's like, "Oh, I can't." And I thought that's what you were supposed to do. So I played that game that way for like 7 or 8 playthroughs where I would get to it and he's just like, all right, torture sequence. Oh, I can't. And then like as soon as it started, I would just submit. And it wasn't until I bought the strategy guide for those that even remember what the fuck those were.
Oh, man, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, if you get through this, Meryl lives at the end. And I was like, what the fuck? She can live at the end? And so by then I could make it. And it took me a long time. Those little press the button fast thing used to whoop my ass.
Another fucking grift from GameStop. Well, 15% off if you buy the fucking book right now with the game. All right, give me the fucking book.
Oh man!
All of a sudden, I'm spending $90 on a game because I need the book for this thing.
GameStop. I've shopped at GameStop to get a brand new game a couple of times because it was easy to pre-order through them. But as far as the GameStop experience, like trading things in and everything, that was a one and done for me. It was during PS2, and I wanted to get Stuntman because I loved that fucking game, and I didn't have any money, and I'm a stupid kid at the time, so I'm like, I'll just trade in this shit that I definitely will play again because I want this thing now. And I can't wait for a fucking week.
That's what my living room is like. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So I went there and I traded in like 4 games, and I still had to give them some money to get the $30 game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck GameStop. I regretted it as soon as I walked outside and look what I had. I was like, I should go in and say I changed my mind, but
there's something to, you know, a business trying to make money. Like, of course you have to give the person less because you have to make something off the deal, but they were like crack dealers. The money they'd give you, all right, we'll give you $4, and you go back the next day and it's like $34.99. You're like, what the fuck? You marked it up $30?
Yep, they're like Pawn Stars in that bit. The best I can do is $2. Absolutely ridiculous. So continuing talking about our top 5. So we were talking about horror, so we'll get the other ones in there. So this one was actually on both of our top 5s, and that's Resident Evil Biohazard. Now, did you play this in VR?
No.
Then you have not played it.
I guess not. Yeah.
I played the entire game in VR the first time through. And you want to talk about the scariest fucking video game experience of my life. That is it. I mean, it's already a pretty scary game as is. The first person perspective, which a lot of people hated. I actually liked it. The Texas Chainsaw vibe going throughout the whole first act of the game and everything. When you put the VR on, and for as basic as those molded things or like the little black swampy creatures that you get throughout the entire game, like the terror that would be in your mind whenever you have this thing on, you have headsets in, and you hear all the noises, all the water drips and everything. And like the fan that's in the room that's blowing air your way actually feels like cool air in the environment. And you're walking through and like you're walking through a hallway and you take like a right turn and that fucker's right there. And you're like, ah! And you just scream and go backwards. Or like when you're getting ready to fight the mom and she busts through that window right in front of the stairs and it literally gets right here. The one that got me was the first like half hour of the game whenever you're trying to save your wife and she's acting weird and possessed and shit, and you walk up to this door because she disappeared, and there's a door and there's a staircase going down into darkness. And in VR, I remember I looked and I was like, I don't want to walk down there.
Nah.
I know. I hear you breathing. I don't want to walk down there. And it's so much more immersive. And I was like, one step, and then you get to the spot where it just takes over and it's cinematic, and you see that bitch coming up the stairs, and you're like, no, go back. And then she just jumps up in your face, and I'm telling you, that shit's like right here, and you're like, ah!
Yeah.
That whole fucking game was insane for the VR. Beyond that, it was a pretty damn good Resident Evil game. It was a good, like,
very good Resident Evil game.
Good, like return to form.
Yes.
Going back to the backtracking and going back to the puzzles and the keys and. I like the villains a lot. I thought they were really good. Some of the boss fights, that like scissor chainsaw fight that you had, it's a badass game.
Yeah, because one was fantastic. I don't know why they don't just make one a movie. Just take the game, just make it a movie. That's it. Don't do anything. Make a script from part one. That's it. You have your movie. 2, great. That's a game I haven't finished. 3, another game that I haven't finished. I have 2 in the house.
It's like 2 minutes long.
I don't know. 4, I did finish, and I was like, okay, we're going in a different direction. Then was 5 Africa?
Yes.
And that's where I was like, what are we doing here? I'm not quite sure.
I loved 5 when it came out because I loved the co-op. That was the big thing for me, and I was like, "Oh, this is badass." But on replay, over time, that game has not aged very well.
Yeah, and 6, I've burned out of my memory. I can't even remember where it took place.
6 was the one that had 4 different playthroughs. You had one where you were Leon and random chick, and it was more like classic Resident Evil, like more like Resident Evil 4. And then you had another complete storyline that was Chris and random soldier that was all action. That was basically all Resident Evil 5 on crack. And then you had one where you were like Wesker's son and Sherry Birkin. And that one was just weird because he had like fucking Resident Evil powers and you could just go through and like Mega Man your way through it. And then after you beat those 3, then you unlock Ada's campaign. So the whole time you're playing the same storyline 4 fucking times to get the whole story. And that one was just an absolute mess. Yeah, that was like everything was like big Michael Bay budget fucking action movie with Resident Evil characters. That was a chore to get through.
When did that come out?
10, 11.
It says the late October, early March 13. That was
13, really?
Yeah. Well, late October for systems, and then March 13th, I guess they.
Okay. Must have been towards the tail end of when I worked at Target.
Yeah, I didn't
like it. Done for me. Yeah,
I didn't like it. Then I had a personal event, which PTSD just kind of takes your mind and erases everything. So that, so fuck, I don't know. Fuck it.
I didn't grow up with the Resident Evil games. The 4th one was actually my intro to it.
Wow.
I had heard it so many times. I grew up playing the first Silent Hill. That was kind of my survival horror.
Another fucked up game where you're like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. This shit's fucked up. Yeah. There's blood on that wall. I'm not going there.
Yeah. Why does that snake have a baby's head on it? What the fuck is going on here?
I played 4 for GameCube. I remember going to the video store and renting it. I was like, whatever. People keep talking about this fucking game. I'll give it a shot. Fell in love immediately. I was like, oh my God, this is the shit. Resident Evil 4 or the original Metal Gear Solid, those are the games that I have completed the most times and never have gotten tired of it. Resident Evil 4 has been like reintroduced to every video game console since GameCube. They ported it to PS2, bought it, played it again, ported it to PS3, bought it, played it again, PS4, same thing.
Yeah.
And so that one was the one where I just got like hooked on it. Then I bought the GameCube versions of the Resident Evil 1 remake, which is awesome. And it was a direct port of Resident Evil 2 and 3 from the Dreamcast versions, I think, which was it was cool to play. But they were definitely dated as fuck trying to play it.
Yeah, I don't know what
the tank control shit. Yeah.
Tank control.
That's what they call it. Where you can only go forward or backward or turn.
So weird.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the camera's fixated in one spot, so you have to like run towards the corner and
you're like, I need to move so that I can see around this fucking corner where there's a zombie. Can I just what's wrong with you, camera?
Yep. I did my Resident Evil ranking whenever the Resident Evil 3 remake came out in February, and everybody was like, you didn't include Code Veronica. So I fucking downloaded that, and that's a Dreamcast port. Oh my God. Gameplay wise, that was a motherfucker trying to get back through, where you play all these remasters. It's everything, this new engine, and then you go back to the fucking like, oh shit, I'm about to get killed. Let me go this way. And it was rough. Yeah, so that and speaking of that, probably I think Resident Evil 4 is probably still my favorite just because of how much love I have for it. It maybe doesn't age as well. They're supposed to be doing a remake, which I'm happier than pigs and shit about. But a very close second was Resident Evil 2, the remake that came out last year.
Yeah.
That game was fucking awesome. The brand new engine, the graphics, the way that they kind of changed the story up a bit. Mr. X, which was terrifying, like just this fucking thing that will just not stop. It was kind of, I thought it was better than the Nemesis in part 3. So you have that whole thing where like he just lifts up that helicopter and then just chases you around that fucking police station for the rest of forever. And you play it and you can like hear him in the floor above you and shit like that, stomping around.
Yeah.
That was.
I have it. I loaded it for about 20 minutes, and I knew because this is coming off of the reimagining of part 1, whatever the fuck you call whatever they did with part 1. Playing part 2, I played it for 20. Yeah, I played it for 20 minutes, and I knew ultimately that if I start playing this, I'm going to play this for about 9 hours straight. I can't do this right now. And I've never gotten back to it. But I know that's one of those games where I'll get so frustrated once I get killed that, dinner can wait. I'm going to finish this stupid fucking level.
Which was that one? The one?
Resident Evil 2. The redone, yeah.
Oh, man.
I've only touched it, and I knew I was like, wow, this is really good. Let me not. It's
fucking awesome. Yeah. You'll take like 7 hours or something if you're like me and you want to go to every single area and explore the whole game and learn it. And then whenever you replay it, you'll blow through it in like 2 hours. You know where everything is, you know where you got to go here, and you just fly through it. I beat Resident Evil 3, the remake, in just over an hour on one playthrough.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's awesome. That's one of my favorite survival horrors is that game right there. I love the way that they have the two different stories that intertwine too, where it's kind of the same but kind of not. I had a lot of fun with that one. So another one that, let's see, this is one that you're gonna have to lead the way on because I'm gonna get shot. Grand Theft Auto 5 was in your top 5 for this past generation. Go ahead.
Listen, what do you want to do? This game will do it for you. Whether or not you like the game or not, what this game has done for video games as a whole is ginormous. The sandbox game style is incredible. And they keep the game's what, 9 years old, and they keep doing stuff to it. They keep adding stuff. They keep tweaking stuff online. It's really, even before they added the online element, it was really neat that you could, with a game like this, we shouldn't have as many crimes as we do in this country. because it's pretty realistic. And you know what? If you ever wanted to go to a gas station and you got pissed off because you got short change and you just want to blow the fucking dude's head off, Grand Theft Auto 5 is your game. You know, go in there, you just fucking stroll in, shoot the guy, take the money, and take off. There's so many different things to do with Grand Theft Auto. You can follow the story, which is very funny. They have 3 separate stories, and like the white trashy methy guy is just absolutely hysterical. It's written well. There's satire and commentary on just how much we depend on phones, the internet. Like it's just a giant commentary on America while being an incredible game. And if you don't want to do the story, you could just run around and play like regular shit. You can go bowling in that game. You can play bowling. You can go golfing. There's like regular game stuff in that game that is quite proficient, and it makes me frustrated because it's like, why is this a better bowling game than anything that has the title bowling on PS4? Why the fuck is this the best bowling game on PS4? It's Grand Theft Auto. What the fuck is going on here?
They started that whole thing with Grand Theft Auto 4 where you kept getting the call from your cousin, hey, Nico, let's go bowling. You're like, fuck you, I'm killing people. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the only Grand Theft Auto game since Grand Theft Auto 3 that I never finished. I've got such fatigue for Grand Theft Auto anything that I just couldn't get through it. And it bled over into Red Dead Redemption 2 because that's basically Grand Theft Auto on a horse.
Yeah.
I somewhere between Grand Theft Auto 4, the beginning and the end of that one, I kind of just lost my taste for the franchise. Like I remember I bought a PS3, was so excited. The only game that I bought was Grand Theft Auto 4, played the shit out of it for like that entire week. Maybe 2 weeks, beat it, and it's somewhere in that last section of the story, it was something that was just like, I feel like I've been playing this game for a couple of years now. It's like the same stuff. And that happened with Grand Theft Auto 5, where I played it. I know they had the new angle with the 3 characters that you could morph to, and they were going to be concentrating on like heists, and it was going to be some new elements to it, but something about the size of it just felt overwhelming to me. Like
really?
Everywhere you had to go, the open world games have this effect on me after a while, where it's like, okay, you have to do this mission, drive for 20 minutes that way, talk to this guy, then drive 20 minutes that way, go do the objective, then drive 20 minutes back and tell him you did it. And a lot of games that are like Far Cry 2 was a bad one that tried to do that, where it was just felt like they padded the game out with just traversing. And so that kind of hit me with Grand Theft Auto 5, where I think I got maybe halfway through it and I just kind of stopped, and then just never went back to it. And that was on PS3, I think, when it first came out, and then they ported it to PS4.
That's right. It's a 2-system game. That's right. Yeah.
They ported it to PS4, and they're porting it to PS5 too.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do to that game? I'll agree with you with what you're saying with Red Dead. Red Dead, I loved it. I played it for about 3 or 4 hours straight. But after a while, it's like, can I have something other than a horse? Because it's fucking 40 miles away where I got to go. And listen, I'm playing a video game and I'd like to do other things with my day. Can we get this going, please? It's neat. It's realistic. I'll give you that. Great job. Looks gorgeous. I want to do things, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the problem that I had too. After a while, it was the same thing, but now instead of a fucking Ferrari, you have a horse.
Yeah.
Trot 20 minutes that way, talk to this person, trot your ass back that way, go talk to that person, and then walk around and then shoot somebody, and then go back and tell everybody that you did it, and then go back to the other place that you were at to find the next mission. And it was so much time. I was just like, I'm fucking just riding around talking to people.
Yeah. And you get bored. Like you're just walking and it's like, holy shit, did that deer just eat that rabbit?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just keep walking. That's my excitement for the next 10 minutes. Some fucking random deer ate a rabbit and that means nothing to me. I'll just keep walking. I'm almost there.
Exactly.
It's such a long and strenuous game.
Now, an open world game that I absolutely loved, which I don't know if you played or not. It wasn't in your top 5. Horizon Zero Dawn.
I have never played it. No.
That is a badass game. I don't know if you're familiar with what it is, basically, but you're kind of it's in the future, but humanity has gone back to like caveman style, where they just have bows and arrows and shit to make fire with. But all of these like dinosaurs, basically, that are made out of machines roam the earth. So it's future plus, period piece type survival, and you're this character, you're this girl that leaves her tribe, and you have to go and explore and find out what happened with this world, and you do like hunting missions, and like you can take down these little small things and hunt them down, and then eventually you'll come across like T-Rex size shit that you have to take out. There's such a dense, it's such a dense game as far as the lore and the story that I honestly don't remember a lot of the details of it. But all the way through, I thought it was badass. I thought that the fighting was awesome with the bow and arrow. I loved discovering all these new, monsters / machines. It ends in a really cool place that makes me just salivate for the sequel, and the sequel is coming because it was one of their games that they showed off at their little Sony thing. But yeah, Horizon, and if you do get PS5, there's like a PS Plus collection that I guess, or there's like some of the high AAA games in PS4's catalog are like free to play on PS5, and that's one of them.
No shit.
Yeah, so that was one that I thought was a pretty big standout from this generation. I did a review of it. I need to replay some of it before the sequel comes out, because I really don't remember a lot of the lore because it's such a crazy game. But gameplay wise, I thought it was badass.
Yeah, it's weird. Somebody brought up Skyrim. That's a generation too old. That's too old. That game. That was the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. It's funny how long it's been. It's been a long time. I think this is the longest we've gone between like systems, because it's been 7-8 years ish, and then it's usually around 5 or 6, and this has been close to 8.
For some reason it felt shorter than the others. Maybe it's because the Leap is the shortest, but yeah, I remember whenever they were announced like PS5's coming, I was like, already? We still haven't even cracked what the PS4 can do, really. But yeah.
Plus, it doesn't look like, it's like you said earlier, it doesn't look much different. Like, yeah, all right, it's smoother. Okay.
Exactly. This is one that we can both gush over. Uncharted 4. Let's just ooh and ah for 5 minutes while this picture's on.
Man, pick your. So how many were on PS4? I know Uncharted 4 was Uncharted 4. That was it. Fuck, that was a good game.
Yeah, and the little side story, Uncharted Lost Legacy or whatever. But the first 3 games were all PS3.
Okay, I remember for a hot second I was slightly pissed off when you were him as a kid, and I thought that was going to be like half the story, and I was like, they better not do this. Like, it's a neat little change of pace thing here that they're doing with him as a kid, but they obviously didn't spend too much time on that. And another game that shit. If you want me to watch it, if you're going to proficiently play it, I'm okay with it. Really, really well done. People make fun of me for calling it Indiana Jones. It is.
It's quite literally what it is.
Yeah, if you want to play Indiana Jones, here's your game. He's funny. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel stupid like video games stupid funny. It's sharp. It's sharp. It doesn't feel like it's like, catering to children. It's funny enough for adults. You genuinely are invested in some of the characters. They build relationships in a fucking game. Go figure. Sully, every other game, I feel like something's up with Sully. I don't know. But
what was cool about 4 is they introduce his brother, and it feels like jumping the shark out of the gate. You're like, oh, so we got this brother now all of a sudden. Now,
well, that was part of the kid thing too, right? It was him.
Yeah. Well, his brother's what kind of drags him back into the life because he's retired through the first half hour, 2 hours of the game, however much it is. And the brother was awesome. That whole relationship that they built, developed, and kind of resolved all in one game was incredible. I loved whenever, even it's the slower parts of the game, whenever you're sitting on the couch talking to Elena and you're playing Crash Bandicoot and shit. And you're up in the attic, you're shooting at paper targets and stuff, trying to relive the glory days. And then you get back into the glory days, and action wise, it's just a fucking incredible game. You get the grappling hook where you can swing around, and the story I thought was amazing with the pirates that you're trying to find the treasure for.
Once you get on these islands, right?
Yeah, it's the most grounded of the 4 because the first 3 have this big supernatural edge at some point, and this one doesn't. It's just straight up, humans. It's a pirate story. You got this guy, I think Rafe was his name. He's kind of like this dickhead treasure hunter, and that whole rivalry that gets, started and ended in the game. One of, if not the best, ends for a character, assuming that we don't eventually get another one. If this ends, there's nothing more that I would want as far as a closure for a character.
I agree.
And they give such great side characters that you play the Lost Legacy and you're like, this is just as amazing. And it's not that I don't miss Nathan Drake, but I'm totally okay if I could play a franchise with these characters and Nathan's doing the Paul Walker thing. He's retired. You know what I mean? Uncharted 4, I did my ranking. I put Uncharted 2 slightly above it just because at the time that was such a huge leap from 1 to 2 and how incredible those games were. And I played a lot of the online play in 2, but it was a close race because PS4 Uncharted 4 was like unreal. Yeah. And that was between The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2. So when they gave us that, I was like, oh, imagine what The Last of Us sequel is going to be.
Yeah. We haven't talked about those yet. I haven't played Last of Us 2 at great length yet. But I've heard stories. But Last of Us is whenever. Oh, all right. And we'll segue right into it.
Smooth transition.
Yeah. Same company. Hi, we're Naughty Dog. All we do is fucking win. That is another incredible game. And again, this is a time where this is what 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Around that time, I had started enough with The Walking Dead and the apocalypse and all this, end of the world bullshit. This game came along, and I was like, well, all right, maybe a little bit longer. We could do this. And the game is just awesome. The graphics are incredible. The fucking story is incredible. Right off the bat, you're tits deep into something that you feel like you started the wrong level. You're like, wait, I think I got the second disc in or something, and it just pops off, and drama just starts right off the bat and really sets the table for a brilliant story. Wow, what a unique thing. When you're invested in the characters, makes you want to play the game a bit more. And when the game is strong like that, shit.
Yeah, and you could accuse The Last of Us of being not the best game as far as gameplay. I have a lot of fun with it, but I can understand people saying like, maybe after a while it gets a little repetitive. But like you said, the story and the characters are so like next level incredible.
Yeah,
where you're so emotionally invested in both of their journeys, in their relationship. I mean, you've got Ellie, who is this, survivor, and, did she get bit? You're kind of on the fence because you're with Joel the whole time at the beginning of the game, and he's this broken, cynical person that lost his daughter as soon as this apocalypse popped off. It's now been like 20 years. He's a smuggler. He's got this kind of relationship with this chick. They look like they're a little, from the wrong side of the tracks at this point. And you're so invested in him because he's a badass character. Then you get this little girl, and she's kind of a smart mouth, and she's like, hey, I've been bit, but I didn't turn. I'm the savior of the universe, so we have to get to point A to point B. And that's the whole journey of the game, is just getting this little girl to the Fireflies so that they can extract this, you know, study her and get this cure and get rid of this virus that has destroyed humanity. And the whole time, it's the building of their relationships that you're focused on. It's him kind of getting his daughter back to a certain degree through Ellie, and Ellie getting a father figure. And, you know, initially what's just a quick buck for him to take this girl across for something that he doesn't even believe in. And then suddenly you get to the end of the game and he loves her so much that he actually fucks the whole mission up just to save her life. And you're right there with you. Like, as soon as they present you with that whole thing about, okay, thank you for bringing her, we'll take it from here. By the way, she's going to die. And you're like, fuck you, she is. And then that whole segment where you just lay waste to all of the people in that hospital is just emotion, man. Emotion with that game is bigger than any game I've ever played in my life. Like, it almost brings me to tears talking about it in certain spots.
It's a single player game, but you have to make them the teamwork that you have to make them cooperate through. Like, you know, when he has to push her across the water and shit, like they're bonding, and it's something you're not even realizing that they're building that relationship with. It's just a thing where you have to like push her across the water, but they're strengthening that relationship, and it's storytelling. You could say what you want about the gameplay or whatever. The story is worth watching.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm so glad that they're doing a series on HBO for it, because that's the perfect way to tell that story. It's not, it doesn't work for a movie. And the fact that it's going to be on HBO means they're going to keep all the rated R stuff that you have to keep in there. I cannot wait for that. So yeah, that was for PS3 for that generation. That was my favorite game, but it's such an incredible game that when it got remastered and it was this whole other animal on PS4, that's still one of the best games of this generation. So it's like a game that has like staying power. And then that transitions into the long-awaited sequel that we got this year. The most controversial game this year by far, the most argue-inducing game thus far, and probably what I would call the best game of this year thus far. It's a shame that you haven't played it all the way through so that we can either agree or disagree.
Yeah.
But this is a game that kind of got the Terminator Dark Fate treatment, where people leaked a couple details online and the internet lost its collective shit, gave it a negative review before they even experienced it, rallied the troops against it. Spoiled it all over the internet, trying to ruin the experience for people. Luckily, I came out unscathed. For the last like week. For like the last week before that game released, I was kind of like walking through a minefield doing anything social media wise. Like, I wouldn't look. If anything said the game, I would like click off. We'll get into a few spoilers. I don't want to spoil anything.
I know the big deal. I know that apparently the best friend is quite large and a lesbian love interest, and that's one of the big deals. And somebody big dies, so maybe I'll skate past that. But I know particular details, but I still want to play it. But you know,
well, you played through the big death on your live streams. You got all the way past that, yeah. So I mean, it's. Yes, there's numerous things that people got on paper that they're like, what the fuck? That's the worst idea ever. Where you have the main person from the first game.
He was supposed to die in the first one anyways, though. Like, I don't know why people have a problem with that.
I don't get it either, dude. I don't get it. And not only that, even if he didn't die in the first one, the way that the game ends with him doing what he does, that should tell you immediately that shit's coming down on him in the next game. I guess people thought maybe it was going to be this long journey and it would just hit him at the end or something. But I don't know. To me, it made perfect sense. Like, it was emotional, but when it happened, I was like, yeah, I expected that.
Sure.
And that's the best way to advance the character of Ellie, because now she doesn't have that shoulder to lean on. And now she has to go out and face this horrific world on her own. And the game makes you play as the antagonist through half of it. So once you get to the halfway point, the game perspective changes, and then you have to play in the shoes of the person that kills Joel for basically the rest of the game. You end up going back to Ellie at some point, but lengthwise, it's about 50-50. And it's a pretty long, sizable game, and that turned a lot of people off. Even some people that played the game did not like that, which I can understand to a degree, but what's incredible about the game is that, at least for me, they force you to play this girl. They force you to learn about her, to start to care about her, to understand how her world works and why she did what she did. And no matter how much you love Joel from the first game, at least for me, they succeeded in making you feel for this girl and understand and go, okay, if I was in her shoes, I would have done the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings this whole new perspective. And by the end, the game's all about this cycle of violence, to where Joel starts this cycle of violence by the end of the first game. It comes back on them in the beginning of the second game. Ellie goes on this rampage and starts the cycle. It keeps the cycle going by taking out all these people in this WLF Federation. And then it comes back onto Ellie because she fucked with them. And then it keeps it going and keeps it going. And it's about making the choice to stop this violence and making the choice to let things go and let things lie. And when that game ended, man, it was like the most exhausted, like getting through the end of a story, because it was just so taxing getting through all of the emotions they put you through. Gameplay wise, it's even better than the first game. They add a lot of different elements to it. It's still at its heart the same, but they add dogs. They add some traversal where you can climb and you can do ropes, and the game is much longer. It's at least 3-something hours longer than the first game. So yeah, the second one, I can't say that it's as good as the first one because I love the first one so much and I've had a lot more years with it.
Right.
And this one is less than a year old. But goddamn, if it did not basically match the quality of it. So I might be on an island with that. I got a buddy of mine that does a YouTube channel that his roommate, quite famously on his YouTube channel, was bashing this game over and over and over again. He was one of those people that read what Naughty Dog had did to a couple channels that was blasting spoilers and made his decision. I'm not playing it. I'm going to bash the game forever. And this buddy of mine has been playing it with that whole context, walking into it negatively. And I watched a couple of his live streams. I popped in. I'm like, what do you think so far? He's like, dude, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And he's like towards the end. So I'm curious to see what he feels when the game ends. But yeah, just like one, it a whole different experience for a video game as far as emotions and story and characters.
Yeah. Storytelling. Things have to change. Things have to evolve. I don't understand. Like you can't just have the same fucking thing over and over again. That's old video games. We're not playing Asteroids anymore, guys. We're onto very, very different things that are much stronger and challenge your brain and your feelings. Let it happen. It's okay.
Exactly. Speaking of challenge,
can Lindsay take care of that H-cent thing? We're not putting phone numbers in the chat. That's
all right. Speaking of challenge, I don't know if you played this. Bloodborne?
No, I heard things though.
Holy fuck. Okay, so you have like Demon Souls, which I just bought for PS5. You have the Dark Souls series, and they have some other spin-offs. This is basically like a cousin to Dark Souls. And it was my first experience playing any game like that. And they are so unique in their difficulty because like the game literally starts and it doesn't tell you shit. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand why you're doing it. You don't understand what your goal is. You don't know what direction is right. And it's one of those games where like you start the game, you're this basic ass fucking dude that has no strength to him whatsoever. You're walking around this gothic ass city and there's like these demons and monsters and shit that you get to fight. And then this stuff goes into you every single time, almost like you're absorbing their soul. And you go through and you die 100 times over again. And what it is basically is you're going through and like you'll find like a shortcut or you'll unlock a door or something like that. And if you die, that shortcut of that door is still unlocked. So then you just regenerate, go back through, and it has these gigantic bosses that if you want to talk about the most insanely difficult yet like so satisfying when you finally beat them bosses, no game other than Bloodborne has gotten me that fucking hot. Like, it's to the point where like you'll play the same boss like 30 times and you're like, what the fuck? Like you'll be playing it, and it's one of those bosses sometimes to where like every hit just takes away like 2% of their health. And you have to keep doing something like that. I mean, you can play the game and build yourself up and just take hours and go back and do it and do better. But sometimes if you're stubborn, you're fighting this person and you're sitting there for like 30 minutes just knocking their health down, and then you'll fuck up once and die and have to start over. But it's I'm not doing a very good job of selling the game. I'm making it sound like it's headache inducing. It's very lore rich. The graphics were incredible. The boss fights and everything were incredible. Once you get into the shtick of the game and you start to understand what it is you're actually trying to do and how you progress, how you win in this game, it was so addicting. It was so addicting to not keep going back, trying to find more paths, more things to unlock, find more bosses. That was a game that I've never played any of the Dark Souls games. Demon Souls is going to be my second game now in this little mini universe. But Bloodborne was the shit. I've told that it's a little bit more ferocious than the Dark Souls games. Dark Souls are more about like blocking and parrying, and this one was a little bit more aggressive about rolling and dodging and being a little bit more on the offensive. But for like a hack and slash game, that shit was next level for me. I thought that was a pretty badass one.
You mentioned demons and stuff. It reminded me that everybody I've spoken to, I'm not a fan. And it's not that I'm not a fan, I just never really got into it. Apparently, the Doom game that came out in 2016 was really, really good. That people
Doom is fucking awesome. That almost made my top 5. It did make my top 10.
Okay.
I wasn't as big of a fan of Doom Eternal, the one that just came out this year. But yeah, that Doom reboot or whatever that came out a couple years ago.
That fucking soundtrack kicks ass. I don't know anything about anything else.
Because you play the old school Doom games and it's very much just you and a gun shooting demons. And then Doom 3 took this whole left turn where it was more about survival horror, where you walk in and there's things that, make noises in the dark and everything. And it had been years since a Doom game came out. And then Doom drops. And it's the old school style of Doom where you're literally just running around shooting shit, but it's like on fucking steroids and 10 gallons of Monster.
Yeah,
just this big meathead motherfucker with his gigantic guns, and you run through, and there's demons and shit everywhere.
Yeah,
it's chaotic as fuck. Like if you have motion sickness, don't even bother with it.
Yeah,
because you're just running around like this, just shooting, dodging, trying to heal, trying to go underneath stuff, and that game, I like some of the elements that they put into Doom Eternal, to where like you would chainsaw something to get health. Or you would, do like the animated kill to get bullets. Like there was like rewards for doing different kills. But this one, as far as just straight up carnage, just old school shooter. I want to fuck demons up for like 8 hours. Doom was badass.
Yeah, when I lived in Denmark, Dennis had the new Doom at the time. It was like 2016, 2015, 2017's version of Doom was, and he was playing it, and I was okay watching it. He was like in a level where he was like in hell or some shit, just running around shooting demons. And I'm like, this looks fucking tits. What is this? This is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Just watching, I had a good time.
Oh yeah. It was a good game. I like Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal just got a little bit big for its britches, I think. Because they were throwing in some shit to where like they threw in was it the Harbingers or something? There was these enemies that you encounter about halfway through the game that suddenly just get incorporated to where you find them all the time. And like all throughout the game, it's just run and gun, shoot things, dodge, jump around, try to get away, get some distance, turn around, fucking shoot the shit out of them. And then you get these guys to where they shift towards you and hit you with this axe, and you have to wait till the axe turns a certain color to shoot them. So you're running around doing all this chaotic shit, and then you have this one enemy where you have to stop and time things. And it just totally fucks up the flow of the game. So that was a big negative for me in Doom Eternal. But that first one, I'll go back and play the shit out of that one. I think that was all of our top 5s. I did have some honorable mentions that I wanted to talk about a little bit. So I mentioned one earlier with Days Gone. Days Gone was a pretty good game that I thought was really underrated, because that was one where they really sold it wrong, because they sold it all
I have an alert for people. If you are interested, I just got an email from Walmart. If you're interested, quantities are limited, but they do have PlayStation 5s in stock on Walmart.com right now. I just received an email. So
Look at the viewers, 111.
yeah,
9,
yeah,
7.
7.
Good luck, guys. That's who I got my pre-order through was Walmart.
Yeah. Just in case,
May
somebody's
the odds ever be in your favor.
it's probably gone by now.
And it's gone. We have
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Days Gone. So Days Gone made the mistake of marketing it off of the hordes. We're gonna have hordes of zombies that you can take out, and that's not something that really happens until like the last third of the game. So a lot of people bought this game and they're like, "What the fuck is this shit? Like, where's the hordes?" If you try to fight a horde early on, you're dead. Done.
Yeah.
They're just gonna massacre you. But story-wise, that was a really good game. It was a good character. The voice acting was really good by Sam Witwer. You have a progression in that game where you get bigger enemies and bigger enemies. Eventually, you unlock the horde, and finding out ways to kill hordes was a lot of fun. And it ends off in a spot where I really, really want a second game, but it just did not do well financially because they just mismarketed it, I think. Not that it's a perfect game, but everybody wanted the shit that you have to put in time for immediately.
It felt like it was a bunch of different types of games at once. Like I had it. Somebody sent it to me and they wanted me to play it. And it at times it felt like something Uncharted. Well, not Uncharted, something Last of Us-y. And then there was times where you had to go to the village and go do things there. And it felt a little not RPG, but it felt a little Skyrim-ish, where you had to go and get tools for your motorcycle and all this other weird shit. And it was just it never caught on with me. There's just wasn't a thing that
it takes patience. It takes patience to get to that point. It's not a game that grabs you immediately. You almost got to put about 5 hours into it before it really starts to sink its teeth in.
Yeah, I'm not
and for some people that's too much. Yes, some people that's too much. But that was a really good one that I thought was pretty underrated. I also had I do have one more. I missed one. This was number 1 for me, so I don't know how the hell I missed it. God of War.
No, I never played that.
That fucking game. I'm here to tell you, I've played all of the mainline God of War games, and I've always liked them, but I've never thought that they were the greatest thing. I was like, okay, they're hack and slash, they're kind of fun. You got a little bit of lore here. That's cool. But it was never one where I was this instant fan. And thank you, Lindsay. I'll get to that one. I was never an instant fan. And I always thought that the character of Kratos was just a little bit overrated because he's just this angry fucking guy that just wants to lay waste to everything. And then you get to the God of War, this reboot, to where it's now no longer about, Greek mythology and the god of war and Hades and Ares and Zeus. Now it's getting into Norse mythology. And Kratos has been in solitude, basically. He had a wife. His wife's dead. He's now raising his son by himself. And I forget the events that kick it off. Basically, you're trying to get the wife's remains to this spot. Is basically your journey throughout the game, but that's just kind of the small little sliver of story that kicks off everything else. The gameplay in this was next level incredible. The graphics were amazing, and for the first time in a God of War game, the characters, the story, and the emotion was all over the place. And it's something I never experienced with the God of War game. The relationship that he has with his son, to where you feel this regret with Kratos for all the events of the first 3 games, and he's trying to teach his son and set him on the right path. And it gets to a point in the game to where you have this axe the entire time. That's your new weapon. And where fire had a big place in the first 3 games with your fire powers and different things that you would get from the Greek gods. Now it's all about ice, ice powers, and everything's cold in Norse mythology. And you're going through, And just like this picture, everything looks cold. You're in the snow. You're
Mm.
fighting fucking, trolls and
Yo,
giants.
what the fuck is that thing in the back there?
Yeah, exactly. And then you get to a point in the game to where you have to get some other weapon to progress. And all it did was like a line of dialogue. He's like, I have to go I have to go dig up my past. And you were like, no. And you go all the way back to your house and get the Blades of Chaos from the first 3 games. And then you play the rest of the game and you can switch back and forth. That fucking game was unbelievably good. And I'm somebody that's just a casual God of War fan. That trumped Last of Us 2. And everything else, as far as I'm concerned, is for just shocking the shit out of me with how good that game was. It ends in a note to where it gives these tiny little revelations to where you're like, holy shit, what is that going to mean in the second game? And the second game, they've already teased it. It's going to be coming out either probably late this year, early next year, called God of War Ragnarok, to where he's killed somebody in God of War, and now the second game, Thor is going to be coming for him. So I can't say enough positive about God of War. That was a game that it had the right amount of challenge too. When I talk about Bloodborne and Dark Souls, there was a little bit of that challenge in God of War, but that was just anything that I wanted from a game in a game. Thoughts on Fallout? Go ahead.
Good. Talk about Fallout, and I have like a handful of things that aren't top 5 for me, aren't top 10 for me, but I think are important for the future of where we're going. So, just little tidbits. So by all means, cover the super chat.
Alrighty. I did have one. So Shake and Bake, how was the Valkyries? The Valkyries were a bitch, but I ended up killing all of them. Thoughts on the Fallout franchise? I've only ever played the first couple hours of 3, and I played 4 all the way through. I'm not the biggest fan of them. They're cool. I don't like the direction they're taking it now with the last couple games they've done since 4. 4 disappointed me with the story. 4, you start off, bombs are dropping. You're going into this Fallout shelter, and you have your son stripped away from you. You're like frozen in time or some shit like that, and then you wake up
like the 50s or some shit, right?
Yeah, exactly. You wake up and there's this guy that's leading everything, and from the beginning I was like, it's going to be his son. It's obvious. Like that just makes sense. And the whole game is trying to trick you. And then you finally get to the end and it's his son. And it's just like, duh.
Awesome.
Gameplay wise, character wise, it was good. But that just kind of, that was a bit disappointing for me. Fallout 3 apparently was really good. I don't remember why. I think I rented it and I had to bring it back before I got really too far into it. But yeah, they're good. They're not what I would call my favorite.
Yeah, that's a lot of time investing that game. I can tell it's just a lot of,
that's like a 20-30 hour game. Yeah, you're just going to be kind of blitzing through it.
Yeah. So real quick, we didn't touch on it. This generation, a lot of people play sports games. I do. If I have to say something about sports games, if you're a football fan, Madden has regressed. Madden games are more fun from 2 generations ago than they are now. Basketball has gotten better with the 2K series. NHL, which I'm playing the demo for this year's.
Real quick, the 2K games, the basketball games, are they accessible to play if you don't know shit about basketball? Like, is it kind of like the NBA Street games? Because those are all these sports games that I used to like, was the NBA Street games where it's just like, okay, pass, shoot.
They have a mode where you can just like play in a fucking school backyard. Okay. They have like street ball where you could just play in a backyard and 2-on-2 or some shit.
Yeah, the only sports games that I've ever been able to get into, because I'm not a sports guy at all, and I don't know shit about picking plays or anything like that, was NFL Blitz and the NBA Street games, because they're very just basic arcade level.
Put it in the hole.
Put the ball in the hole. Yeah, exactly. So I almost picked up NBA 2K, whatever the one launched with PS5, just to have a 2-player game to play either with my kid or with Holly. But I don't want to buy it and be overwhelmed with like you have to pick plays or you have to understand basketball or anything.
What do you mean? Which jersey do I want? I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
Hockey, from what I've played, I've only played 4 hours on the demo. The physics are really interesting because you're playing on ice. This is coming from a hockey player, so whatever. The puck moves around. It's on ice, and the physics are really interesting because you could shoot a puck really hard. If it deflects off somebody's leg, the speed will change. The puck will change rotation and things like that. This is the first time that I've noticed it. It could be present in other games, but this year's rendition of NHL hockey by EA, the physics at the very least has been really, really, really impressive. That's what I have to say about sports games. Rocket League, if you want to call that a sports game, really fun, doofy, weird shit where you're driving around a car, basically playing soccer. That a lot of people seem that like that's a party game. We're a generation too old, but I remember getting together with people playing Rock Band, and holy fuck, that destroyed weekends playing that game.
Oh yeah, so much money buying all the different extra songs too. I think I bought that game 7 times over, just getting playlists and shit. Like, oh, AC/DC, like just going there.
Fucking Soundgarden, give it to me, man.
I was so addicted to that shit when I was in college for the year that I went. I was broke as fuck. I could barely pay to eat, but I would beg, borrow, and steal to get money to unlock the fucking, Alice in Chains Dirt that was released or something like that. And I'm like, I gotta have it. Like,
So there's that. There's other stuff. Cuphead, which is a side scroller, which is a really unique game that has this like old school cartoon, like 1930s look to it. Everything about it makes you think it's this like fucking like when you go to the movies in the 50s, like we have those weird cartoons that the audio is a little muffled and everything's just a little off. It's a really fun game. It's hard as fuck, the way side scrollers should be. That again, another one, pretty cheap. I think that's only $20. You're gonna fucking throw your controller at how hard that game is. Another game that was really interesting. They're both made by the same company. Is Limbo and Inside. They're very minimalist. There's not much going on. Yeah, it's just like, it's shadows and you're a dude just trying to run along and jump on shit. And it's cheap. It's cheap, but it's fun. There's not much to it. It's a good time. And then there's these other games that I have listed here for ambition's sake. Life is Strange is a game that I have listed that came out this past generation, where it was more of a drama. I don't know much about it, but I know that like it was more of a like your decisions changed. Well, kind of like the game you were talking about earlier, but way different. I don't have the exact details. I rushed on that. Life is Strange. LA Noire, which I think is right at the border. I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying the potential's there. If they could build on that, that
game had me so fucking hyped up about the graphics and the facial, mapping and everything. And it was so goddamn boring.
Yes.
Go through, you find a fucking thing, you got to go find the clues, and then you have to go interrogate somebody, which coin flip if you get that right.
Are they lying?
Strategy. Well, the funniest thing about it, it would say like if they're lying, they might squirm in their chair, and then they would say something, and then it would be an animation of them going like this, like. And you had to pick press them, like maybe kind of press them or let them go, are they really lying? Are they kind of lying? Or are they telling the truth? You basically had to pick it. And what was so funny is like, if you ever watch the cut scenes, like sometimes I would do it just to laugh. Like it would be like, hey, you'd be interviewing the fucking secretary of this warehouse that they found a body in. And they'd be like, hey, when was the last, what do you remember about the night that you worked? And she was like, well, I came in my regular shift and, I thought I heard a noise in the bag. Didn't really occur to me. And then I went home. And the ones that are actually telling the truth, if you could like say they're lying, and he's like, "You're lying! I'm gonna throw you in a fucking cell!" Like he just starts getting angry at him. But there was never a strategy with that shit. Like there was never like it was a fucking coin flip of whether or not you got it right or not. There was never like, okay, if their eyes twitch, like it was a guess. That kind of sounds like bullshit. You're wrong. You lost the investigation.
Yeah, it's a great. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It's a great seed to plant. There's this game that everybody's playing on Steam now, where it's I don't know. I'm way too old, I guess. Where you're 8 people and 2 people are the bad guys. What the fuck is that game? I got. Of course, Emily's sleeping. It's like this cartoony looking game, and it's ultra popular. But 2 people are bad, and you have to figure out who the bad people. What Among Us? That's it. Yes. If they could take some of the principles of LA Noire and what they're doing with Among Us, and just take them both, make a little bit of a hybrid, and go a step further. Take LA Noire and make it like a 7-player game or some shit, and you know what? Fuck, I'll deceive somebody just to fuck with them, just to I might tell the truth.
Game. If I had the money and the education and the skills to be able to make a game, I have always wanted one ever since I think it was the 2nd or 3rd level of Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, where you had to break into this bank at night. Ever since that mission, I have always wanted a game to where you robbed places. Like you would case the place, walk in, set up shit, and depending on how much shit you could get done while you're casing it would directly follow with the actual heist and how easy it was. Like if you were able to get into the system, kind of like Hitman, if you were able to get all this shit done, and then you would have like Splinter Cell level, like where you could like come down on zip lines or like fucking go up into the walls and shit and rob the place. Like I've always wanted that, and nobody's ever given it to me. You fucking selfish bastards with your God of Wars and your Last of Us's.
GTA does that, but the problem is it's predetermined. No matter what happens with the heist, you're gonna get into a shootout with the cops. There's no like, hey, we made it, we escaped. No, we're in a fucking shootout, and I have to put this bulletproof vest on, and it's going down. And the last.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's got to be something to where, like, the more you put into this part of it,
sure, yeah,
the better it is later on. You can get through, like, you can do the Splinter Cell thing. You can go through and fucking shoot everybody and get your notoriety up and everything, or you can go through and steal everything, delete all the evidence, kind of like
perfect
Hitman.
Score, yeah,
or yeah.
That is pretty fucking bad. We do need heist games. I mean, shit, we have everything else. What the hell? And last but not least, which I guess doesn't really count as a game, but is responsible for one of the games we talked about earlier, PT, which was, I don't know, 10 minutes worth of a game that looked fucking awesome, and then they said, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima, who did the Metal Gear Solid games, was supposed to do that, and I think it was his whole meltdown with Konami that fucked up, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, that was something where they put it out there and it went like viral. Like everybody was downloading this shit and playing it like holy shit. And then you get to the end, if you actually beat it, it's a Norman Reedus and it says Silent Hills, and it's like, this is you fucking Silent Hill game.
Yeah,
shit. Canceled.
Yeah,
and you're like,
never mind.
Yeah, and then Resident Evil 7 said, ooh.
Yeah, no, we're gonna take everything that looks like. Yeah. Just give us what you have, and we'll take it from here. The blueprints.
Exactly. Yeah, for a demo, that game has got some serious notoriety. CP, are you a fan of the Friday the 13th the game or Dead by Daylight?
Dead by Daylight, I feel like the graphics are a little weak considering we're in the when it came out, the 2010s. I feel like the graphics could be much stronger on that game.
And you can download it for free on PS5, which I did, and I've never played it yet, so I'll let you know how much better or worse it looks.
Okay. Friday the 13th was crowdfunded. It's glitchy as fuck. I contributed to that game, actually. I contributed to it back before that game wasn't Friday the 13th when it was first announced. It was just camp slasher game, and I think either Kane Hodder and or Tom Savini were attached, and I was like, I'm in. And then slowly but surely the ball started rolling, and it became Friday the 13th. So I was completely on board. It's glitchy, it's underfunded, it's glorified hide and seek.
Yep.
I have fun with it. I can't play it for too long because it's hide and seek. I don't mind playing it every now and again. Maybe we'll have fun and play it later just because it's Friday the 13th. But that is a game that I an hour at most I play, and that's it.
Yes. I did not contribute to it, but it had a lot of buzz right before it came out, and then it finally came out. Like you said, was glitchy as fuck. It was not a complete game when it was let out. I don't know if it's gotten any better since then, but no, it had a couple more passes on that code at least. And I remember playing it, and I didn't realize that you could set in the settings your preferred, whether you prefer to be Jason or a camp counselor. So I played that fucker for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours the first night, maybe an hour the next night, maybe 30, 40 minutes the next night. And I'm like, when the fuck do I get to be Jason? This is bullshit. Like it was kind of okay, but it felt like there was, because you're playing against actual people. There was no complete, like, foolproof way to get away from Jason because they could tell where you were if they just happened to be around where you were.
See, I'm the polar opposite. I hated playing as Jason because he's too fucking slow. I was like, I need to get to this person, even if you do the transport thing. Like, I was just like,
I was a master at that.
Really?
I would transport and just show up and go poot and just get your ass. So, yeah, lo and behold, I finally discovered that you can switch your preferred character to Jason, and I was like, what the fuck? And so I switched it over to Jason, played it, and my second round I was Jason. I was like, God damn. And it's cool to see the different kills because I think Tom Savini designed the kills, like at least on paper. So that was cool. It is fun. Like it is something that, like, it's a cheap game. It was fun, but like you said, it's not a game that you would sit there for hours. Like you play a couple rounds, you're like, okay, I got my fill. Bye. Yeah. And I played it for maybe the first week, and then I was kind of done with it. I was like, okay, that's enough for me. I'm not really a big multiplayer game guy anyway. So I'm kind of an antisocial gamer. I like single player, set in stone campaigns.
Likewise. For the most part, likewise, right?
Yeah. So that one, and Dead by Daylight, I have not played yet. I downloaded it. I downloaded all the extra characters like the Ghost Face and Leatherface and shit, and I've been meaning to check it out. I just have not had time because I downloaded it right before we started to move, and until last night, I really haven't played video games over the past couple months. So
what a grown up.
Yeah, no shit. I go through these spurts where like I'll play the fuck out of games for like a month or two, and then I won't touch it for like 4.
I'm glad that Friday the 13th exists. I really am. As a Friday the 13th fan, it's nice I'd rather have something and not use it than want it and not have it. So it's there if I want to fuck with it. But for my money, and perhaps this is my nostalgia, I really like going back and playing that NES Friday the 13th game. I know it's shit, but there's something about that NES Friday the 13th game that I have a good time with. And I'm just glad that they both exist. They should make some sort of an open world game where the open world is, I don't know, all of slasherdom, where you have Haddonfield in one corner and Crystal Lake in another.
We don't go there.
And then Elm Street somewhere in the middle, and that would be fun and you don't necessarily have to be the villains, although maybe like you have to get like to a certain level before you can actually be one of the bad guys, but you're just a dude. You're just Joe Six-Pack fucking trying to go about your day and get points and whatever the fuck. Help me figure out how to make this game. But if you're stuck in Crystal Lake, you got to avoid Jason. If you got to go, like you're on missions, you got to go do missions. You got to go pick up milk over on Elm Street. Oh, it's Elm Street. Oh shit! Don't fall asleep.
Don't take a nap on your shopping trip.
I think there's something there. We might get something like that eventually.
Maybe. Hopefully in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Cool pace. CP, thoughts on the Splinter Cell franchise?
I'm not well versed at all.
Bastard.
Yeah.
I am a Metal Gear Solid whore, and when Splinter Cell was first kind of coming out, I remember that came out on the it was either the original Xbox or PC or something. It was not on PlayStation. And then finally it came to PlayStation 2 and I played it, and it was supposed to be like the Metal Gear Solid killer because it was another stealth game. It wasn't quite that, but the series really evolved. The first two games are good, but it was after Chaos Theory, the third game came out, where it was not really open world, but go your own way. It took pages out of Hitman. Here's your mission. Here's your starting point. Get the fucking objective done. Any means necessary. Do whatever you want. Bye. See you at the end. Splinter Cell 1 and 2 was very linear. You're set on this path. You can only go forward. Chaos Theory was, open area. You can go do this objective first. You can kill everybody. You have to hide the bodies. You can go the whole way without getting seen. You could try to get on the roof and try to crawl around, go through vents, do whatever you want. And from that game forward, that series was just badass. You had that. Took a slight dip with the one where you're in prison, Double Agent. That one kind of got, I want to say there was something weird with the release. They had to release it twice or something. I could be remembering that totally wrong. But that one was the one where I was like, it's not as good as Chaos Theory. And the one that pisses me off, I'm going to find a picture of it actually. There's one Splinter Cell game that for Splinter Cell fans, they hate this game. And I am a Splinter Cell fan, and I thought it was the best fucking Splinter Cell game by a country mile. And it drives me nuts that every time that it's mentioned on any lists or on anything, it's always like, oh, yeah, but there's that fucking one that we don't talk about.
Number 4
and
surprise you.
I just don't understand it because, let me see. There's loading. Splinter Cell Conviction
Looks
was
like
the shit.
Like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that's what it kind of took a page out of Ethan Hunt's book to
That's
where,
cool.
Splinter Cell is typically him in his black suit with his goggles. You're stealth the entire time. Conviction was more about him getting betrayed and going off on the run, and kind of like Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And you have parts of the game where you're in your suit and you're in stealth, but you have other sections of the game that's more action based to where you can be stealthy, but you can also do this mark and execute thing where kind of like Spider-Man that I was playing earlier, where you're up on the rafters and you look and you can kind of mark everybody. And if you have your level up to a certain spot, like you've been stealthy for long enough, you can just hit a button and he'll fucking take out this little silenced pistol and take out every single person that you have marked. And you have to strategize it for this entire time. And the story was incredible. The way that it ended, I was like, yes, give me the next one. And then everybody shit on it. And then they just went back to the regular Splinter Cell in the next one, which they didn't get the voice of Michael Ironside for. I think it was Splinter Cell Black Agent or some shit like that. But that one was pretty good, but it wasn't as good as Conviction. And then we haven't heard shit since. And you got Ubisoft. Ubisoft is famous for just shitting out sequels like the Assassin's Creed games. So here's another one. Same shit, new coat of paint. And Splinter Cell and Prince of Persia, we have not heard jack shit of since the previous console generation.
Congratulations for downloading on day one. You're gonna have to download 50 gigs as we fix what we rushed out the door. Where do you put Hitman amongst those three?
I love Hitman. I would probably have Metal Gear Solid at top, Splinter Cell at 2, and Hitman at 3. But But it depends on where Hitman 3 lands that's coming out for PS5, because they have this new trilogy that they're doing that they're 2 games deep on in the last generation on PS4 that was fucking awesome. Full on open world, go and do, just like I said with Chaos Theory, big rich environments, different characters. You have all these different They're kind of like achievements, but not where it says like, hey, you can kill them this way. You can throw them in a fucking meat grinder, or you can push them into a pool with sharks, or you can set them on fire with the TV. And you're like, I'm going to do all of that. So it was just like, I would play for days on just one level, just doing it over and over again, different ways before I would progress to the next one. And if the third one is as good as it looks, that might overtake Splinter Cell for me, because the Hitman and Hitman 2 were fucking badass. If you can find those cheap on PlayStation Network or whatever, definitely, especially Hitman 2, because it's not as episodic.
I think Hitman has some sort of free thing they have like their version of Warzone right now.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm not sure. It might have been for a month or something, but Hitman has something where you can at least try it. I'm pretty sure of that.
It's fucking awesome. I love the last two. Francisco Gonzalez, what is your guys' greatest gaming achievement? CP?
Achievement. Shit. That's a hell of a question. I don't know.
You want me to go while you think?
Yeah, you go, please.
Well, there's two. I'm a trophy whore / achievement whore. I love going through and getting all the collectibles or doing the little sneaky things to get the trophies and get the platinums. Jack and Daxter 2 was the hardest fucking game ever to platinum. Because there was a certain point that I forget what the hell it was. There was like this, rocket racing thing where you had to beat something in a certain amount of time or do something that was literally going to take days just doing this achievement if I wanted to. I ended up finding like this backdoor way to get the trophy, but getting the platinum for that game was like the hardest platinum ever. But as far as a single achievement, in Gears of War 3, they introduced the Horde mode, which is basically like waves of enemies. And you could buy new equipment, you could buy new guns, you could buy like security parameters and fences and electrified shit in between every single round to try to keep these enemies at bay. And you would try to get to level 50 and beat level 50. And there was this achievement for getting through all the 50 levels of Horde. And it was me, it was a dude that I worked with at Target, and then a bunch of random people online. Me and him were just kind of fucking around at first, and then a couple people joined, and then we started getting further, and then a couple more people joined, and then we had a full squad, and that became that night's mission. It was like, okay, we're at level 22, fuck it, we're going for 50. And it took till like 3 a.m. And the last 10 missions were a nightmare. And when we finally got to the end, I remember there was this gigantic, like a Brumac or whatever the fuck they call it. It's like a T-Rex with fucking predator guns on the sides of it. And we were sitting there and we're all getting, decimated left and right. And like, we're sitting there like the last couple of bullets shooting at it. And there was a guy that got like this mech suit and he was shooting at it from the side. And we're sitting there and it was like the most hopeless moment. It was like fucking Infinity War right before the portals opened. It was like, this is it. It's the end. He's about to decimate our ass. And then one bullet hit him, and then it said, and then it just blew up, and then we're like, yeah! The fucking achievement unlocked, and the achievement was only worth 10 points. We were like, what the fuck? Like, we spent like 7 hours on this.
So I guess I have two. One is actually quite current. As of right now on Warzone, I'm in the top 0% amongst plunder players, which is a couple of dozen thousand players. So if you play plunder, and of 1,000 players, I'm amongst the top 10 in that little subgenre, which is, I'm not that much of a Call of Duty guy, but the fact that I'm in the top 0%, I kind of think that's neat. Number two, and this kind of is a blue balls kind of thing, and shows how old I am. I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out by decision. And only after that did I find out that there was more people to fight. I was like, hey, I beat Mike Tyson in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. The game's over. And then it was like, no, here's 8 more people to fight. And I was like, huh. But I beat the guy whose name is on the game, and I barely did that.
I had something like that with the first Pokemon game. I had it on Game Boy, and I remember I got all the way through the game, got all the way to the Elite Four, and then you're fighting Gary, your rival. and he had kicked my ass like 10, 15 times in a row. And I was playing, and I had some fucking plant Pokemon that I poisoned his shit with. And like every single turn, he would like lose a couple of health points because of the poison. I ended up winning because of the poison. I had nothing left. I was literally on my last breath, and he still had another hit. He had another turn, and I was like, fuck, all he's got to do is sneeze on me, and I'm dead. And then the poison said, eh, and then he was dead, and I was like, I fucking beat it! I didn't say fucking, but I remember I was sitting there on the couch, and my cousin was playing his, and I was playing mine, like right next to him, and I was sitting there, and we're quiet, we're engrossed, and then I literally just went like this. I was playing, and I went, what is Big Aaron? And then he was like, what? And we just sat there and watched like the whole thing unfold. It was like the coolest thing ever when you're that age. Like, holy shit!
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, this is decades of playing video games. Like, the accomplishment you feel when you get to a end screen. Like, that there's something there. You don't really. It's not really a sense of accomplishment, but you're like, yeah, all right, I fucking did it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's watch the credits. So lots of Asian people made this game. Cool.
It used to piss me off when you couldn't skip the credits and just sit there through the whole fucking time.
Yeah, waiting for some last little piece of thing. Just
Jared Groves. I lost respect for my boss when he said Seed of Chucky is his favorite of the franchise. Kill him.
Yeah. with a glass from the top of the ceiling.
Final Destination 2 his ass. Blake Garner, highly recommend Outer Worlds, fun little RPG. All right, I remember seeing that on a cover somewhere. I haven't checked it out though. I will keep my eyes open.
What's the one with that actually has Norman Reedus, where he's walking around with a backpack?
Death Stranding.
Oh, okay. I didn't have interest. I was just asking.
That game is so fucking weird because it's so like on paper it sounds like the worst fucking idea for a video game ever. And certain elements of it are that bad, but something is so weird and intoxicating and engrossing about it that I actually played all the way through and beat it. But I would never go back and play it again. It's literally you're in this post-apocalyptic world to where it's almost like what's the fucking movie with Kevin Costner, The Postman, where like mail carriers are like shit. You're like the saviors of humanity because you're getting currency and things that we need between these different little outposts. And so you're one of these mail carriers, Norman Reedus, and there's these spirits that are out there in the world that you can't see that are like stuck between reality and death. And you have this fucking baby in a jar that's attached to your chest that is like psychic or something. And you have this fucking like predator fan thing that like when you're walking and then if you get into an area that has ghosts, it slows down for a second. It's like, and then it like points towards the ghosts. And so you can like avoid them. And so the game is literally that. And every single objective that you have is take this package to that guy. So you take the package, it builds up in like a hilariously realistic way to where it's like packages are stacked all the way up on this fucking back. He's like doing this, running through post-apocalyptic fucking America. And the heavier it gets, the slower you walk. So like you have to
dragging a rope, like fucking
literally you could buy like carts and shit to like, pull behind you and these different little inventions that you can get to make it easier. But you have to choose, like, do I want this to take a really fucking long time? Or do I want to make an ass load of money when I get there? And eventually you can unlock vehicles and take vehicles through most of it unless you hit a mountain and you're like, fuck, this is going to take forever. And you like can stake into the mountain and leave rope and you can put ladders up. But you have to carry all of these items like they're packages. So anything that you buy is physically on you somewhere.
That's kind of cool, but
yeah, it's kind of cool and kind of annoying as fuck all at the same time. So every time you're playing it, you're like, I love this and hate it immediately. It's the weirdest story. Like story wise, it's a fucking mess. That's Hideo Kojima turned up to 1,000.
Wait, Shake and Bake says 3-hour long cutscenes. Is that accurate? Shake,
maybe I skipped a lot of them. Maybe I am not somebody that skips cutscenes.
Oh,
But if it's Hideo Kojima, that would not surprise me because there was cutscenes in some of the Metal Gear Solid games that were feature film length. But
did you get to pick one up, Jay? That's awesome. You're welcome. I'm happy to help somebody get on top of that. Jay thanked me for the stock alert. Apparently, I'm assuming he was able to pick one up.
good. Now you have to send it to CP. It's all a plot.
Yeah.
Make sure I didn't skip anything. So we got Blake. Okay, now we got this. Motorcycle US. Did you all beat War Mech on original Final Fantasy? I have not played any of the Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm not a fan of the pick your attack and pick your weapon, and you're standing there in a group, and you're like,
yeah. This guy goes ahead and
then they get back in line and wait.
Yeah. I lost 26, and then he stands back in line.
Yep, I've never been able to get through those games. There might be some of them that I like, but that was a series that was on PlayStation that everybody was like, Final Fantasy. No. I'm gonna go play Silent Hill.
Zelda's the closest I got. Yep. I guess Skyrim's not the same. I was gonna say Skyrim, but that's more adventure. That's not stand there and fucking. RPGs are really interesting. I don't know, give or take.
Oh, he didn't get one. He's just saying thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Well, I tried.
Yeah, the Death Stranding's a weird one. there's some, I love Metal Gear Solid, but I love it for the gameplay and the characters and some of the story. There's some really weird, out there, next level shit on that one that is just Hideo Kojima stuff that you got to take the good with the bad with that guy.
Yeah.
Trying to lean back and see. Did you play any of the Evil Within games? That was another big one this generation that everybody blew.
I bought the first one sight unseen, played it for about an hour, and I said, "Why did I do this?"
Yeah,
and I stopped playing it.
Everybody was like, "This is the guy that made Resident Evil 4," so it's like Resident Evil. And I was like, "Sweet!" And I played it, and I played all the way through, and I was like, okay. And then I played the second one because everybody's like, "Oh, the second one's even better." And it's such a weird game because you start it, and then you get into this nightmare world or whatever the hell it's at, and it's open world, and you're like, "What the fuck? That's different." It's not like, okay, it's open world, so you can choose how you want to do it, but it's just for that one segment of the game, and then you go and the rest of it's linear. And I was like, what the fuck was that one section all about? That was kind of cool. Yeah, I didn't get into either one of those very much. They were okay from all the way through, but yeah, they didn't reach the hype level. Everybody always mentions them. But even it was okay.
Yeah, and I was fired up because case in point, Resident Evil, the fucking Outlast games. If a game is scary, I'm over the edge. I'm rooting for you. All you have to do is not be terrible. And Evil Within, I was like, oh, it's kind of a horror game. I'm in. Bought it. Didn't hear much about it. Put it in. Played it for about an hour, and that I never played it again. And I was like, wow. Yeah, that was a disappointment.
Yep. Joseph, I watched the second one and I hated that one as well, and I have not watched any more. Dino Crisis remake. Did you play Dino Crisis on PlayStation?
Isn't that Resident Evil with dinosaurs?
Yes.
Yeah, I played that.
That was a cool one. I wouldn't mind a remake of that one. I like that one.
Sure.
I'm gonna entertain for a second. I'm going to take a look at some of these titles and come up with some more from this.
If you're doing nothing tonight and you want to feel festive, I have a Twitch channel, which is this name right here. It is Willis Greedia. You might want to check in on my YouTube channel as well. We might bounce back and forth. As of right now, we're doing a marathon / telethon where we're trying to raise money for our house. We got fucked over by the government, and we're just trying to connect dots. But in the meantime, we're going to try to entertain and sit through as much as possible. If you guys are willing to do that, if not, that's perfectly fine. We're still going to watch a movie. As of right now, Jason Takes Manhattan appears to be the lead. And at 9 p.m., we'll be watching that. And we'll be doing that on Twitch. So Twitch is good because I can give you the picture, not the sound. So you can watch with me and actually have the picture to go with. So all you really need to have is the sound on in your house and you can watch my screen. So it's a little bit different than a normal watch along because for some reason, I don't know why Twitch allows it because of Amazon. But some of the Friday the 13th movies are Amazon Prime. And Jason Goes to Manhattan is one of them. And it's winning, barring some sort of Trump disaster. Jason Takes Manhattan will be doing a live watch along tonight at 9 p.m. And if we raise more money, we'll keep going. And you guys will decide where we go. That's on Twitch, same name. That wasn't really entertaining. I was plugging myself.
I noticed. Did you ever play this?
No.
Dying Light. This was a badass game that I initially thought I was not going to like. It's a first-person like parkour game in like this post-apocalyptic zombie-filled world or whatever, and you have to like run your ass off to get objectives done. And at nighttime, the shit's 100 times worse. Where like the zombies are more ferocious, more monsters. And like you'll have some like it's like, oh, this thing saw you, and you'll never see it. It just lets you know that the shit's behind you, and you're like, fuck, and you're like trying to climb buildings to get to the safe spot.
That sounds badass, yeah.
It's fucking awesome. There's a Dying Light expansion where they like added some shit to it that's really cheap on PSN. I think it was like $15, and they got the second one coming out for this generation. But that was one that it should have been in my honorable mentions because I was like, I don't know. Fucking parkour zombie game, and then I bought it and I was addicted to that shit for like 2 weeks. I wanted to get all the trophies. I almost want to like pop it in and play it again. But that was one that you should definitely check out. This is one from the PS3 generation, but they had the remaster come out that's even better. And this was one that for some reason just failed miserably when it came out, but I thought it was like the most badass, unique thing for a game. Did you ever play Bulletstorm?
No.
So this is one where it's first person and you have a gun, you have this little tether thing, which is kind of like a lasso, and you have a kick move. And kind of like Doom Eternal, where you have to like do these different combos. It gives you a list of all of these kills. Like one of them was called Drildo. And to do Drildo, it was somebody where like you have a gun that shoots a drill. Eventually, you had to shoot somebody in the ass and then go and stomp it in.
Oh.
And so it was like give you all these names of these kills and how to do it. And so it was a first-person shooter, and you had to like strategize how to do all these different kills. And it was fucking hilarious too. Like all the characters were like these rowdy little like space pirates and shit. Like you got this one shit. There's a part of the game where you see this girl running and you're like trying to save her. And she's like, you better stay away from me or I'll kill your dicks. And he's like, you're going to kill my dick. How the hell are you going to do that? Like, it's just weird, off-kilter humor. But that whole game was badass. That's got to be cheap as fuck. I can't remember if you and I talked about this. I talked about this game with somebody. The Order 19...
Yes. I bought the fucking... Ooh, hold on. God, you talk about it. I'll be right back.
So it was CP that I talked about this with. So this is a game, The Order 1886, that was hyped up for like a year plus before it came out. And then it came out and the reviews destroyed it. Absolutely decimated it in the reviews because of the length of the game. I was talking about how it was hyped up for like a year plus, and then the day that it dropped, reviews were like bombing it all across the board because of the length. It's a fucking incredible looking game with a badass world with a really cool character. Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's vampires and werewolves and all this other shit, but the game is literally like what, 4 hours?
Yeah. This it's I forgot what you call this type of style where people are steampunk, whatever. I think it's steampunk, but I bought the most expensive version.
Like $200.
Yeah, this was like $200. It came with this. It came with a steelbook version of the game. and that was based on like 30 seconds of footage. I was like, this looks fucking incredible. And
it was pretty damn good, but
I-
you sneeze, the game's over.
yeah, I mean, this thing's gorgeous. It's just like when people ask, oh, what's that cool Wolfman thing? I'm like, it's not a Wolfman thing. It's from a video game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool. It's a game that almost felt like the pilot episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it uses this lore. There's this fucking vampire master at the end. There's fucking werewolves and shit. And then the game just ends. And it ends in this spot where it's like, all right, shit's about to pop off now. And then the credits roll. And you're like, this fucker was $60. What the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
And it just destroyed any chance that this series had of getting off, which I don't know what the fuck their problem was. Why the hell they made such a short ass game? Because
they delayed the fuck out of it too, because that was supposed to be a launch title. I remember I was like, I think that was like the number one reason I was fully on board. And they were like, maybe February, maybe next year. And then when it finally came out, I was like, did you forget the rest? I think you, I think you left the rest in the factory or something.
Yeah. So that's a game that, like, now that you can get it for probably like $8, it's worth getting. But yeah, that's a I remember playing it and I was like, this is badass. What the fuck were the reviews about? Oh, it's over.
Yeah. Don't expect to play too long. Everything about it is it looks gorgeous. It's a really well made game. It's a little heavy on the cut scenes. They do take a little too much out of your control. If I do have an extra complaint, but
I remember that about it, but I don't remember enough about it to say yes or no. But
I mean, it wasn't like a make or break thing. I just remember being like, okay, the graphics are fine. You don't have to do these cutscenes. Let me do it. Let me do it. I got it.
I have this last one here, which I saw and just laughed because this is right up your alley, I think. We've never talked about this show, but I feel like you have to be a fan of it. South Park.
I have meant to pick that up because of 1,000 reasons. I had the original South Park game for the 60.
The Stick of Truth. Oh, the 64 one.
Yeah. You peed on snowballs and threw them at people, and that is just basically riffing on all types of superhero shit, right?
Here, the version that I got, I don't know if you can get this now, but it comes with the Stick of Truth for free, which was the game that came out previous to this, which was awesome. It was kind of like riffing on RPG games like Zelda and stuff like that, but the game is so fucking hilarious. It's like all of the best South Park episodes rolled into one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a fan of the show. I haven't seen a lot of them.
I'm okay with it. I don't. It's fun.
But I just like forget that it exists sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Stick of Truth was like all of the best references to all the best shows wrapped into this cool little story. And it was such an awesome game. It was fun to play. And then you get this one, and this one is the same thing, but yeah, it's ripping on Marvel and DC and stuff.
Yeah.
A couple episodes, they have their own super.
It got pushed, right? I remember having interest, and then it got pushed back, and then I just completely forgot about it.
Maybe. I'm not sure. But they're both worth getting. The first one, Stick of Truth, has to be cheap as shit, but Fractured Butthole, or the Fractured Butthole, however you want to say it, it is a couple years old now, so that one's probably cheap. But both of them are awesome and hilarious.
I'm told it looks gorgeous too, because it's essentially you're playing the cartoon.
Yeah, well, there's like a spot like this is how funny and how smart it is. So in the Stick of Truth, there's a section of the game where you have to enter a meth lab and fight these meth heads. And if you change your character, who's the new kid on the block, if you change your character to wear glasses, a goatee, and a bald head while you do this thing, you get a Heisenberg trophy. And so there's all these cool little things in there that's thrown in. They have these references to the episode, like you have to fight Man, Bear, Pig. There's a point where Taco Bell takes over the world or some shit like that, and they're trying to bring the enchilada back. Like it's all these stupid ass things that are the best episodes of South Park do all in a game. And this one is pretty much just as good. It's a little bit more actiony because of the superhero stuff, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. I don't have enough fun playing games. Usually when I play games, I want to be engaged or like I want to be a part of a story.
Well, these have that surprisingly enough. They have a good story, like to where you're just kind of entertained. Like as far as Emily, if this humor works for her, I don't know what her temperature is on South Park humor, but
dude, I can't figure it out anymore. I eat myself.
Yeah, it is. Throw piss into the wind and see which way it flies. But yeah, it's a fun game even just to watch, just because it's like a full-on episode movie of South Park, and you just sit there and just laugh about all the shit that's going on. There's a point where you have to go into an abortion clinic, and fucking it goes into a cutscene, and it's like one of the Kardashians just dropped off this one, and it's alive, and it's this giant fucking baby that comes out, and you have to fight it.
Yeah, let me write that one down. That sounds like fun. Abortion clinic. Let me write that one down.
Yep. South Park: Stick of Truth is the first one, and then the Fractured Butthole is the superhero one.
You said one of them comes with both, right? Fractured Butthole comes with both.
Well, this one, when I bought it when it was brand new, when it first launched, it came with both. I don't know if they still bundle it together.
Okay.
This one starts off of the end of the first game, so if you have the time and the interest, I would say play Stick of Truth first.
Yeah,
because they kind of get tired of playing. They're doing like Zelda shit, and they have like orcs and stuff like that, and then they get tired of playing that, and they're like, "Fuck that, we're gonna play superheroes now." So it's kind of an in joke. It's kind of an in joke at the beginning of the game if you played the first game.
That's pretty fucking funny.
My face is starting to itch like a son of a bitch. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I saw that one. I was like, I never talk about these games, but they're pretty fucking hilarious. Top 5 favorite ever gaming characters. I'll let you go first.
Oh, well, we probably had a couple of them, right? Give me Ellie. Give me Ellie from Last of Us. I will take Chris Redfield from Resident Evil. I will take Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5. Nathan Drake, Uncharted. I mean, fuck.
Easy.
Give me 10 movies of him. I'm fine with that. And I'm missing one. Fuck.
While you're thinking of that, I got a comment that reminded me of a part of a game. There's a part where elves, like lawn elves or lawn gnomes, shrink you down, and you have to fight them on the nightstand while your parents are fucking in the background. And it's like, it's blurred, but you can see it, and they keep getting into all these positions, and you're having a boss fight.
All right. Sold. I have to see if my uncle can figure out something in the maybe they might have like a demo or some shit. Or actually, usually I'll look into it.
Yeah, I'll look before we sign off too and let you know. But yeah, top 5 favorite ever gaming. So Nathan Drake, easily.
Yeah.
Solid Snake, easily. I'll actually go Albert Wesker from the Resident Evil series because he's a really interesting character. Chris Redfield's badass, but Albert Wesker's always like, what's up with this guy? I want to know more. I'm trying to think back. Trying to think of some off the wall ones that aren't so obvious.
Shit, it's hard.
Struggling. Yeah, I'm struggling
so
now.
Hard. Like I don't want to say Sonic. I don't want to say Mario. Like, I like the
characters.
The dude from Castlevania was pretty badass.
Lara Croft, Kratos. There's some good ones. Let's see here. Gordon Freeman from Half-Life 2. If they would ever fucking continue that series, I would say that. Been waiting for a goddamn decade plus. Joel and Ellie, yeah, you said that one, but that one got to go in there too.
Lindsay says 2 hours, 25 minutes gaming talk. How am I still here?
Because it's us and you love us. Commander Shepard, even though you kind of customize him yourself in Mass Effect, is a fantastic character, as well as Garrus, who's a side character in Mass Effect. It's one of the best side characters ever. Love those games. I wish they would have had a better ending, but they're pretty badass. Big Boss is not technically the same character as Solid Snake, and he actually takes up more of the Metal Gear Solid games.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Fisher, from the Splinter Cell games, is a good character. He wouldn't be in my top. Those are gameplay awesome games, not necessarily character. Clementine from the Walking Dead Telltale games. Have you ever played it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. Lots of feelings involved there. Shit. Yeah, I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
Yeah. We'll go with those.
Yeah.
Mass Effect remastered next year, Johnny. Yes, yeah. It's coming out on PS5 or something. I wish they would alter the ending before they released it, because I really hate the way that they wrap those games up. For having 3 games worth of decisions and stories, and you basically just choose the color of light that shoots around space. It's like, oh, okay. Did you play any of those Mass Effect games?
No.
They're awesome. It's the guys that made what is it? The Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic games. Play either of them where it's like RPG and you kind of deck your character out and have conversations and choose where the story.
No, I like Star Wars. I don't like, I don't like getting, way too invested in Star Wars.
Me either. Knights of the Old Republic is fucking incredible though. So the guys that made Jade Empire, which was like a samurai or a karate version of that one. But they made this one, and it's a space epic where you're playing this commander who becomes a Spectre, who's like this, intergalactic cop basically, and you're trying to take this dude down. And it's this multi-arc game to where characters that you meet and either befriend or fuck over in the first game will have repercussions in the third game. And it's this whole spanning thing where you have years of decisions building to this ultimate climax, and they got their ass handed to them on a platter by gamers everywhere when they released that ending. And it was like, what the fuck is this? So like, you literally get to the end of the game and you're like, you choose something, and it's the same exact events, but in one version there's like red light that goes through space, in one version there's green light that goes, and it's like, what the fuck? You said that all these decisions I made were gonna have these gigantic repercussions on this universe ending, and they're not doing anything right now. Like, ugh.
I just looked through one of these clickbaity top 50 gaming characters of all time, and number 1 was what's his face from Halo, and I cannot disagree more. I don't think he's much of a character. He's a
shell for a fucking gun.
There's
Xbox fanboys are gonna get mad at me, but Halo is the most overrated fucking game series.
I think Halo's a good game. I don't think he's a good character. It's just a dude running around shooting shit.
I like first-person shooters, but I just never really got into Halo. I like the first one, okay.
Yeah.
The second one really disappointed me.
Mm-hmm.
I never played the third one. I played parts of the fourth one, got bored with it. It's just like, it's the same shit. I'm kind of interested in this open world one that they have coming out, Halo Infinite or something like that. That sounds kind of cool. But yeah, it's just like, no.
Yeah.
CP doesn't know what you're talking about, but I was always Paragon. Once in a great while, I would choose a Renegade option. In Mass Effect, you basically had your good and your bad. Paragon was good, Renegade was bad, and like, the more one you were, the other was how people would interact with you or how the story would change. And in the second one, they introduced like these quick time events to where like you'd be having a conversation with somebody and it would like bring up a quick time. You could like either do a Paragon or a Renegade. Like if somebody's talking, once in a while I would do Renegade and he'd just pull his gun out like, shut up, bitch, and just like fucking shoot him and then be done with that whole situation.
Well, yeah, that's like in Red Dead. Every now and again, like you pick up somebody who's stranded for some reason and they need help, and it's you building your morale. You have like a bar that goes between red and blue, and you pick them up and they're riding on the horse, and if they fall off and die, you get credit for killing them. And it's like, they were just riding on the horse. I didn't do anything. Why am I getting blamed because that asshole can't ride a horse?
Yep.
Sometimes that shit gets taken out of your hand. Not cool.
Oh man, I got a good idea for us to move into. So let me pull up some of the upcoming
I was just going to ask you what's on the horizon that
Yeah. Let's talk about what's on the horizon. Exactly
really
my thoughts. All right, so we've got. Let's see. We'll go to this website. All right, so Ratchet and Clank fan? No. I was never a fan because I didn't play any of the original ones, but I played the reboot on PS4 and fucking loved it. And so now I'm all Ratchet and Clank. They have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart coming out, which is like, it's like multiverse. Like you'll be playing something and then the multiverse will open up and you'll end up like in the prehistoric times for the rest of the level and shit. So that looks pretty awesome. I'm on board for that. You've got, let's see, Gran Turismo. I don't give a fuck about that. Hitman 3 coming January, which I cannot wait for. Deathloop. Have you seen the trailer for Deathloop where it's a first-person shooter and like you die and keep reliving the same scenario?
I have not.
That one looks pretty badass. From the developer behind the Dishonored series, which are very good games. Did you play either of those? Dishonored 1 or 2?
Nope.
Damn. What the fuck? You're an assassin hellbent on taking out the targets. See, supernatural looking element. Okay, you're not telling the shit. Rainbow Six Quarantine. Rather than a spinoff from the very successful Rainbow Six Siege, this is something new and a little bit supernatural. You'll play as a Rainbow Six operator, but instead of human foes, you'll be tasked with taking down a new breed of alien parasite that's infecting the human race. That sounds kind of interesting. I don't know if you've played any of the Rainbow Six games, but when Rainbow Six Vegas and Rainbow Six Vegas 2,
I played Vegas.
Vegas and Vegas 2 were my shit. I would play fucking terrorist hunt for hours where you would just get into this little Vegas casino and then you would have to go through and eliminate all 20, 25 of the terrorists. I loved those fucking games. I wish there was like a for them on the PS4.
Hey, I'm looking at Xbox, but it's got dual releases here. There's a game called Vampire the Masquerade that looks pretty fucking cool. I don't know anything about it.
Story game? They have some of those sometimes where it's just picking dialogue options, I think.
Oh,
those
really?
Games. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it looks like you're like some old school fucking vampires in a city, and you have to answer to like this hierarchy of old vampires.
I got one for you. I don't know if you're a fan of this franchise yet. Far Cry 6.
I keep dipping in and out of that. I played. Oh, wait a minute. Is that Gus?
Yes.
That's enough reason for me to be interested.
So Far Cry 3. I've played all of the Far Cry games. The first one was interesting. Far Cry 2 I fucking hated because Far Cry 2 made the mistake of trying to put realism in the game and went way too far and made it annoying to where like you would be driving. It was a big open world in Africa, and you would be driving and your car would overheat and you would have to get out with a fucking wrench and do this on the front of your car. And it was like we were talking about earlier with the open world where it's like 20 minutes that way. Yeah. The shit would happen like 3 times on the way to an objective. And it was so fucking aggravating.
Fucking water in there.
Yeah, it was that. There were some other things that got in the way. So that was just a really weird misstep. Far Cry 3 came out, and that game was badass. Where you had the dude from fucking Better Call Saul was the villain. And it was just open world where you are in this, cartel island and you have to save all of your friends. And that was one of the best first-person shooters I'd ever played. Loved Far Cry 3. And they've done this thing where they've gotten in this habit now where every Far Cry game is just, okay, let's have a new villain that tries to top the last villain. Far Cry 4 had the... it was an Asian guy and he was like dressed in purple and shit like that. And it was a good game, but every way they tried to top 3, they failed. And then you get Far Cry 5, which has this really fucked up, like, backwoods Mississippi religious guy. And story-wise, that game really had you. And it was a cool open world. The action was great. The villains were intriguing. And the whole time he's like this prophet for this fucked up little redneck town trying to tell everybody about the apocalypse that's going to come, all the end of the world shit. And you get to the end of the game and the apocalypse happens. You get to the end of the game after fighting through hours and killing all of the little mini bosses and all of his family and finally getting to the bad guy and getting to the end, and then nukes start dropping. And the whole end of the game is you in the back in this cutscene where they're like, the fucking guy was right, and the world ends. So that's your reward. At the end of it, you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's bullshit.
Waste of time.
Yeah. And so this one, I'm a little bit... I'm cautiously optimistic, but that man being the villain, gets me invested.
On board.
Yes, I'll take 2. So that's another one that's coming out that I'm very excited about. God of War 2 Ragnarok at some point in 2021. I guarantee it's going to be pushed to 2022. Kratos versus Thor. Give it to me now in my face, please. Grand Theft Auto 5 again. Resident Evil 8 Village. Have you seen the trailer for this fucking game?
I've seen images for 8.
They're bringing in witches and werewolves and all this other shit. It's going to be continuing the story from 7, the guy that you played in 7 and his girl. And all the trailer shows is this fucked up dark ass village with, like, you know, Paranormal Activity 3 like looking witches standing around, big ass werewolves that are like tearing through this hut, and then it ends with Chris Redfield coming in and blowing away the chick from from number 7, and your protagonist is like, why? So there's some angle to the story where Chris is either evil or he's having to do something for good, like something
Maybe
weird
he's
going
possessed.
on. Something's going on with this character, but they're bringing back the character. They're bringing back the first person. It's going to be in VR again.
I'm cautiously optimistic because it seems like Resident Evil since 4, it's been strong, not so strong, strong, not so strong. Or do I have that backwards? 6 was shit. 7 was incredible.
I mean,
we've had just as many good as we've had bad in the last 4.
We've only had one bad as far as I'm concerned since 4, which is 6. I mean, you have 5, which is pushed a little bit more into action, which people are like, eh. And then you have 6 that was really bad. And then you have 7 that was like, okay. And then the remakes.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't even counting 1, 2, or 3, but yeah. 1, 2, and 3 are great. That goes without saying. I'm just cautious. If they can just stay on par with 7, I'm completely on board.
So we got Dying Light 2. I'm going to try to screen share this because I want us to check it out together really quick. See if it looks any good. Okay, get to the action shit. So this is Dying Light, where you're doing parkour shit. I don't know how. Is it choppy or is it laggy?
It's I can make it out. It's good.
Yeah, so that's the type of gameplay it is as far as the parkour and shit. And then I'm gonna try to get the zombies.
Hey, girl. Oh, that's a
dude.
That's what's his face from True Romance.
Zombies must have thought it was White Boy Day.
It's not White Boy Day, is it?
Where the fuck? I want to show like the carnage, so we can check it out at all. And this is probably not going to show jack shit. Hey, Robert De Niro. Okay, so
we
this
got
is what the...
Whoa, we got blood. Oh,
so
shit.
It also has the Walking Dead thing where there's not only zombies, but there's a lot of fucked up humans as well. Where they're like, hey, I want to own everything that you own.
God damn, go down.
Fucking decapitate them. Do something cool.
Oh,
no, that works too.
That'll do it. I can't breathe. I'm choking on my own blood.
All right. So maybe not the best demo, but that's Dying Light, and that's what Dying Light 2 is going to be.
You skipped a super chat from Kyle. Kyle asked, favorite twist ending in a game you didn't see coming. I'm assuming I know your answer, so I'll skip and take a different one.
Twist ending in a game that I did not see coming.
Really? You got to think about it, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Go ahead.
I was going to assume you were going to say, oh shit, name of the game. Last of Us. With the,
I mean, is it a
really?
twist?
Sort of. That the Cure, all that jazz. See, I had my secondary pick ready because I thought you were going to say that. Well,
I don't know if I call that a twist or not, but yeah,
okay.
that's one of my favorite endings to a game for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say the ending to Heavy Rain, which that's pretty fucked up. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, I like that game a lot. And the villain reveal, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Far Cry 5 absolutely is not twist. It's all for nothing. Let me see. I'm trying to. Why the fuck am I drawing a blank now? Like, that's what the hell? There's gonna be one that's obvious. Best twist endings in a game.
Still free says Red Dead 1. That is a pretty fucked up ending.
Yeah, again, is that a twist though? I mean,
have you played the whole way through Red Dead?
The first one, yes, not the second one.
When he dies and then suddenly you're just his kid for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I guess I'll go kill this guy. Let's see. These are all terrible ones. They're all terrible. They have Last of Us on here, so I guess for some people that is.
See, now I'm drawing a blank. Twist ending. Yeah. Twist ending. Didn't see coming. Twist ending. Didn't see coming.
These are all like games I haven't played. John Marston's End. Okay.
Yeah.
Worst. Sean is the leader of the Institute. Fallout 4. Yep. Bioshock. Bioshock's a good one. Would you kindly? You know what I'm talking about? So you're in this underwater world.
Oh. I know the game.
You're this guy walking around this underwater world. It's like a horror. You know, the society down there has collapsed. Everybody's losing their fucking minds. And there's a guy in an earpiece that's trying to get you out of there the whole time. And every single time that he talks to you, he wants you to go do something. He's like, would you kindly go do this at this one place? And you never really notice it. And then you find out that that's actually like, it's like a Manchurian Candidate thing. Like when he says it, it sets off your brain and you have to do what he says.
There's a word for that. Fuck, what is that called?
Yeah.
Bell, Schrodinger's. No, I don't know what it's called. There's a thing for it. Would Dead Space count? I remember Dead Space having a fucked up ending.
His wife is actually dead or something like that. And it's just that I never played through the end of the first Dead Space. I loved 2 and I played all the way through 3, but for some reason the first one, I think there was a twist with that one.
His girlfriend. He's getting messages from his girlfriend. It's kind of like Moon, if you've seen Moon.
Yeah,
he's getting all these messages from his girlfriend, but his girlfriend doesn't exist.
Oh, okay. Wow. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Whenever the fucking the zombie creatures or whatever come out of absolutely nowhere, that was a pretty badass twist. Where you find out that the treasure that you're after the whole time like curses people.
Oh yeah. That's pretty good.
That was a good one. Wesker being the bad guy in Resident Evil is a good one. Worst, the apocalypse is real. Far Cry 5. See? Monorail. Oh! I knew there was one. I knew there was an obvious one. So I talked about this earlier with Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic is this Star Wars role-playing game where you wake up on this ship and you're just random crew member number 6 or something like that, and it's getting attacked by the Sith. Or whatever the fuck they were called in the Old Republic. And from that point, you know, you're fighting people, you're meeting all these characters. It's a very long game, but there's this guy, Darth Revan, who is in charge of the Sith or the bad guys at the time. And he's been missing for a long time, but his presence is everywhere and nobody can find him. Nobody can, take him out to try to end the Sith. Yeah, that happened to me earlier. And you get through more than 3/4 of the game, and you find out that you're Darth Revan, and you just have amnesia. So you wake up on the ship and you have amnesia. You don't know why the fuck you're there and all this kind of stuff. So you were the Sith Lord, and something happened. I forget exactly the events, but there's a scene where it shows a flashback where he's like, you're being shown this flashback for some reason, and Darth Revan takes his mask off, and it's your character's face, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I'm him. It sounds nowhere near as awesome as it is when I'm describing it, because you have to go through hours of this game, but you finally, that's are my favorite.
To put it in a movie parallel, have you seen Shutter Island?
Yeah.
What would you do if you were DiCaprio at the end?
Oh, I don't know.
Because it's kind of similar. Like he thinks he's somebody else, but then he gets it beaten into his head. Like, no, you fucked up. You're a bad dude.
What's better, to die as a monster or to live as a good man?
Yeah.
Horizon Forbidden West. That's the name of the sequel. That's coming out soon. Can't wait for that. And that's a lot of these weird looking games that I don't recognize. God damn it! Now my nose again.
Yeah, there's something's up with the air or some shit. And I can promise you, at least 25% of these fucking things are gonna get pushed.
Oh yeah, easily. That's
at
probably
least.
That's generous. That's expected nowadays. Where you have this whole thing where like Cyberpunk has been delayed like what 4 times.
Last 2077 didn't come out.
Huh?
2077 didn't come out.
No.
See, that was the one I'm really intrigued to. They released all that fucking footage.
Yeah, and then they delayed it the next day or something like that.
That's like, what the fuck was that game where you could hack into people's shit with your phone?
Watch Dogs.
Yeah, and it looked fucking incredible. And then they were like, yeah, we're not making that game. And it was like way different. And
yeah, it was like Grand Theft Auto with a phone. Basically.
Yeah. That was some bullshit. I don't know I don't know what they're doing to try to impress people, but
Josh Kephart, your Solid 5 twist ending, that would be in my worst list. I don't. Are you a fan of the Metal Gear Solid games?
I won't turn them away. I don't hate them. I don't love them.
So the 5th game, gameplay wise, is probably the best, if not the second best. And then the
Phantom Pain, is that Phantom Pain?
Yeah, gameplay wise, fucking incredible. Story wise, the worst, easily. It's garbage. And then you get to the end and you find out that your character is actually like you're not Big Boss. You're a guy that got surgically like facial reconstruction surgery to look like Big Boss. And then it gives a timeline of how there was 2 Big Bosses the whole time. And it's like, oh, fuck you. And it's not even like the end of the game. Like you play through the storyline and this happens. Like you play through the whole storyline and then there's this secret mission that you have to go find in the level selects and then play that. And then you replay the beginning of the game again. And then it shows it at the very end what happened. So it's like a hidden ending. I hated that. We'll cap it off at 3 hours. So about 13 minutes. We'll head out.
This Demon's Souls looks pretty good.
Yeah, that was the game that I bought. Demon Souls and then Miles Morales was the 2 that I got. They had NBA 2K, which you kind of got me convinced. I want to have something to play competitively, but I'm going to probably watch some videos on it to see if it's as user friendly as I hope it is. Because I don't know jack shit about basketball. Or
get the weird fucking soccer game that everybody likes to play, where you just drive a car and dunk the soccer ball into a net.
I don't think that's on PS5.
Oh, well, give it time. It might. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. They have the Resident Evil Village trailer on this thing. You're just walking through snow when it's dark. Is that this trailer?
I think so. If you see images of witches and shit like that, and then eventually you're in like a cabin and there's some fucking beast outside.
Looks like potatoes that fell out of a box there. What is this? It's dark. I can tell you it's fucking dark. Dark, yeah. A little snowy. Some chick sitting on a couch.
Maybe.
Oh,
they only released 1 trailer for it, I think, so it has to be it.
We got POV of somebody's hands. Yeah, some old dude telling you to be quiet. Oh yeah, I'm on board. Oh, something outside. Fuck yes.
Yep. I'm going to tell it and CP's Resident Evil 7 reaction.
Ooh, a castle. What the fuck's going on
Yeah,
here?
exactly. It looks like it's going to be wild.
Oh, yeah, it looks gorgeous too.
Yeah, it's going to be on both PS4 and PS5, and then the Xboxes, I think.
Yeah, you got to go higher.
Yeah.
Why have a 4K TV if you're not going to fuck around, huh?
Yeah. Have that big dick, not use
it. We didn't talk about any of these at all, and we have a little bit of time. And not a fan of Assassin's Creed, huh? You passed on Valhalla.
I did not like the first game. I thought that it was a good idea that it got repetitive as fuck. I absolutely loved the second one. The second one was the first game I ever got the platinum trophy for.
Is that where you go to France, Italy?
Yeah, the first one with Ezio, where they fixed all the problems with the first one. Fucking loved the second one. And then they stuck with him, and they gave us 2 more games with this character. They gave Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed Revelations, which they got less good with each one because it was literally the same game with a new coat of paint. Then they gave us Assassin's Creed 3, which was going to be in the Revolutionary War, where you play as a Native American, and I was like, that's badass. And it was the same game with a new coat of paint.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which was you're going to be a pirate. I was like, that's badass.
That
and it was the same game. Yes, same game with a new coat of paint. And it's the same. I've played all of them, but I have not played more than 3 hours of one since Revelations, because it's the same shit over and over and over and over again. They'll add a couple new little features. One of them usually sucks. A couple of them are pretty good. They'll say, oh, it's going to take place in this time period. It really pissed me off that they just totally wiped out the whole Desmond storyline. Like the main guy that you're actually playing that goes into the Animus. I guess people were like, I don't like playing as this guy. I just want to play the historic stuff. But for me, I was like, well, yeah, you play 90% of the game that way. But in Assassin's Creed 2, especially, you started to really flesh out the world of what this guy's mission is and what's going to happen with him. And then they just kill him in Assassin's Creed 3 and they never go back to him. That pissed me off. But yeah, I played whatever the one where you're in Egypt, Assassin's Creed Origins or something like that. Same shit. I heard Odyssey was decent, but same shit. And every review that I'm reading for Valhalla says
same old shit.
Same old shit. Looks really nice. Buggy as fuck. So I would not pay more than $20 to try Valhalla. I'm sick of the Assassin's Creed games. There's just nothing new about them.
I have an erection right now, and I need you to explain what's going on here. Gotham Knights, what do you know about this game, and how do I treat this erection? Because this looks incredible.
Well, if it lasts for more than 4 hours, you call me. But no, it's a game it's not a part of the Gotham universe, but you get to play as Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood.
Yeah.
And so you're doing this storyline, or I guess Mr. Freeze is one of the big villains or something. So it's a side storyline where Batman is gone and you're the only ones left to save Gotham. And I don't know if it's going to be co-op, but it's 4 different characters. You can play all of them. And the next game created by the people that do the Gotham, the Arkham games, is going to be a Suicide Squad game called Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. The trailer is them goofing around, and then they're like, it's pretty funny. You should watch. They're goofing around. It's got Harley Quinn and King Shark, and they're dicking around. They're beating people's ass on this rooftop because they're getting information that they have to go kill somebody. And they're like, did anybody find out who we're supposed to kill? And then they look, and Superman's like looking at him with like red eyes, and they're like,
yeah, I'm just looking through. Gotham Knights looks incredible. State of Decay 3, I don't know what 1 and 2 are. Looks pretty good. It's an Xbox exclusive. It looks like they're trying to answer to Last of Us,
Yeah.
but it looks good. I mean, I'm looking at 1 minute and 20 seconds worth of footage, but to be fair, it does look good. Hogwarts Legacy, oh boy.
Yeah. Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah. Project Athia?
Yeah, that's something. I don't know. It looked pretty, but you don't know anything else about it. Whenever it says project, that means they don't even know what the fuck it is yet. It's like a demo. Like, look how good our shit looks. Give us money.
Deathloop.
Yeah, that's the one I was telling you about earlier, where it's a first-person shooter and you keep like reliving the same scenario or something.
Oh, right. And that's it. That's it as far as this page is concerned. It has 22 things listed.
Yeah.
Happy 2021, everyone.
Absolutely. So are you going to be, do you have any interest whatsoever in the Xbox Series X?
Yes. Yeah, I'm as long as everything are you laughing at me or
yeah, I was like, you said yes, and then you were like, yes. And I'm like, exactly.
As you know, I don't hate on, I don't understand people who are like, fuck you, PlayStation's the best, or fuck you, Xbox. Like, listen, if the game's good, just play the game. The game's good.
They see the pictures of the Xbox with the fucking vape smoke coming out, and they're like,
yeah. It's like, so what, man?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? What's that doing what you're doing?
Who gives a fuck what box you put the disc in?
Yeah. Eventually, I've been I don't want to miss any exclusives, but as of right now, other than that Death Stranded 3, whatever the fuck, that looks pretty good. I'd like a little bit more information on it. I don't need a 4K player right now, so that makes time a bit more wider. Somebody alerted me to that they had this deal where they set up this payment plan thing where you could pay it off for like $40 a month for like 3 years.
Yeah.
I'll do that, but that you have to find one first. So
I think that's only through the website. I thought you had to buy it through Microsoft for their little payment program thing. I could be wrong.
Oh, well, yeah. The guy, like a bunch of other people who seem to have not Ryan Strom. Ryan Strom came through and sent me something in the mail, but a lot of people said, "Hey, CP, I want to send you something," and things happened. People are nice. People have nice thoughts, and sometimes things happen, and some of those ideas fell through. It's okay. I don't expect anything, but if that is possible, if they can do that $40 a shot deal, I'll probably jump on it. But I'm leaning more towards PS5 if and when the time is right.
PS5, it's for me, it was more so about the launch games. Xbox really doesn't have anything that I'm interested in, and then obviously the exclusives. If I go 2 years without having an Xbox, I'll be fine. If I go 2 years without having a PlayStation, I'm gonna be fucking chomping at the bit for some of the shit that comes out.
Yeah.
But I'll eventually have both.
It's not the same anymore. When the S came out, when the Xbox S came out, and it was, you could play 4Ks on this. I was like, huh, guess we're switching the Xbox because I'm going to be hooking this up to the 4K TV now. That's what I got it for too, was the 4K. I was like, oh, okay. And cheaper version that still plays the 4Ks. Fucking A. And now that excuse isn't there, especially, when you told me about this and I started taking notes, I was like, shit, most of the things I like you can get on both systems. Like, this is kind of shitty. Yeah, the only thing really that Xbox has over PlayStation right now is their Game Pass thing, where it's like you can play all the way back to the first Xbox, where PlayStation never really looks back that much. They're like, okay, you can play some PS4 games, but we're not putting the original Tomb Raider on here for you to play. Sony's like, have you heard of eBay? because
yeah, exactly. Nathan Oswald asks, do you prefer 1080p at 60 frames or 4K at 30 frames? So a lot of the games on PS5, like Spider-Man, they have fidelity mode and they have performance mode. So fidelity is more visual pizzazz, more ray tracing and lights and colors, but it operates at 30 frames per second. Or you can do performance mode where it moves quicker at 60 frames, but you're doing 1080p. I'm not enough of a techie to sit there and debate one way or the other. I prefer better graphics. So I'm going to go, if I'm going to pay for a new console, I want it to look like a fucking new console. So I go for the fidelity mode, which is 30 frames per second, which it's not like the game looks like it's lagging. It's fucking smooth as shit. So is the naked eye really going to be able to tell that much of a difference? That's where we're getting with these consoles now. But the 4K colors, the light ray tracing and all I'll go for that.
Yeah, the only thing I've been told is if you're playing shooting game, like I play Call of Duty quite a bit, I've been told I'm doing it wrong. You need to lower the quality of the picture so that the speed, like I'm getting killed because my picture isn't fast enough, and I'm like, no, I'm getting killed because I suck. But
a 90th of a millisecond.
Oh, man, if I only had it in 1080, I could have killed that guy.
Exactly. We got this comment. Valhalla is so long and boring. It has meh combat and story and is repetitive, and it's over 60 hours. No thanks. That's just one man's opinion, but I'm going to take it as gospel and say no thanks. All right, we are at 3 hours. Do you have any final thoughts, CP, on game generations, PS4, PS5, Xbox?
No, it's exciting. It's exciting. You know, it's hard to tell where we're going to go. You know, if you asked any of us 8 years ago what the journey would be that we went on, it'd be hard to tell. One of these two can fail. It's been a while since a console has just outright failed. That used to happen. I
have a funny feeling this might be our last console generation.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
I might go to clouds or some shit next.
Yeah, I think didn't Microsoft want to do that anyway, and they were like,
that's kind of what their Game Pass thing is doing. Yeah, they're where you can play on your PC, your Xbox, whatever, and it's all going to be the Game Pass thing, and that's kind of more what they're pushing than the actual box itself. The jump is so small. I mean, it's a good sized jump, but compared to most generations, the jump is so small between last generation and this generation that, I mean, unless we have Back to the Future 2 shit running around in 8 years, I don't think they're going to be able to improve much.
Yeah,
I mean, are we going to have 20K TVs at some point? Like, it's at some point you've reached your max.
Yeah. The things that are changing are the environment in which that we play these things. That's what's really changing. Like,
the only thing that's next is like Inception shit, where like you fucking go into the game. You know what I mean? The fucking what is it? What is it? And it's all. It's going to be exactly like that Black Mirror or whatever the fuck it was, where the dude and his best friend are playing the Street Fighter game or something, and one of them is playing a dude, one of them is playing a chick, and they just end up just fucking.
Oh yeah. They're just like instead of fighting, they just fuck.
They just fuck. They're like, oh my god, you could feel everything because you're supposed to feel the hits. That's just what they do the whole time. So,
bring it on.
Exactly what it'll be. You'll go into Grand Theft Auto and you'll be like, what? Everybody's fucking. What the hell? Oh, man. On that note, let me get rid of this thing real quick. Hang on. Where's it at? On that note, guys, thank you so much for joining us, as always. I'm sure we'll be back here in a week or so. We got 31 on 31 coming up at the end of December. CP has got his Friday the 13th extravaganza tonight. I might be able to join for a little bit. I might not. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, go over, check out his Friday the 13th stuff. Mother Mayhem has been asking for it, chomping at the bit for it for 3 hours. So she better show up for that whole stream. That's all I can say.
At the absolute very least, even if we don't like raise money or any of that shit, we're going to watch Jason Goes to the Boat. We're gonna watch Jason Goes to Manhattan and do a live watch because Twitch lets you do that. I don't know how they do it. As long as they don't copyright claim me, I'm gonna do it. And you guys can watch with me. So we'll start with Manhattan. If not, you know, we'll if nothing comes after that, we could have fun and just BS. But no pressure either way. Just come and have a happy Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I see we got some trolling coming in right at the very end. That's awesome.
Yay!
All right, guys. Love it. All right, so we will see you next time. Have a good night. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good shit. And we will see you next time. See ya.
Toodles.